that the British government is having at the moment. That it is so gung-ho. It's suddenly realizing the time is running out. After taking almost a year to even get to the position we are now, it is speeding up the process at an exponential rate. That's something that should have been discussed in further detail with not only the people who voted for Brexit, but those who represent constituents and the devolved powers especially. Because the two largest devolved powers, Northern Ireland and Scotland, are the most affected by Brexit. Northern Ireland with being the only nation to share a land border with Europe, and Scotland being the nation that has relied on the European Union the most. Why those nations aren't being considered more is beyond me.
10 seconds.
So, my final point on this: if the British government does not address these devolved powers further,
time.
Oh, definitely the United Kingdom will crumble.
Thank you. I can't believe you filled in 5 minutes.
Bit all over the place there because I was trying to get a few points, but okay, go ahead.
All right, Biz, are you ready for your argument?
1 sec.
Take your time. Let me know when you're ready.
And while he's taking his time, thank you everyone who is sitting in the channel and being quiet and being courteous to this talk.
Yeah, thanks guys. Like, it's really easy to just fucking be a dick and start mic spamming, but it's really neat how most people aren't doing that. So that's pretty.
This Discord is rather
okay.
pleasant,
I'm ready.
I must say.
All right, mic's off.
So,
ready, set. All right, go.
So earlier I stated that not only was Brexit bad for the euro, but it was also bad for the British pound. This is evident by the... Well, first we have to take a step back. The British pound, when compared to the US dollar, over the last 10 years, has been on a very progressive downward spiral, meaning that the British pound is being worth less and less over the last 10 years. When you look at the last 5 years, it's going down and down. When you look at the last 2 years, which is a year before Brexit, it was continuing to drop slightly. However, you see right before Brexit, there was a spike in the British pound. This then countered by Brexit bringing the pound down almost about 20 pence, I believe is what it's pronounced in Britain. I don't know, to be honest, but it's the equivalent of 20 cents. Since Brexit, the British pound has continued to drop even more and more. This shows that the British pound has not recovered from what happened with their economy in Brexit. Now, if you go to the euro, however, when Brexit was first happening, you saw a minor drop when compared to the pound. It was only about 5 to 10 seconds, or 5 to 10. I don't know what the decimal point of the euro is called, but it's basically what we would consider cents in the United States. But when you look at the bigger picture after that, it's the euro's actually stabilized since then. So what that basically means is that the European Union has actually taken steps to restable its economy, and this is a little bit concerning to how Britain will survive by itself without the support of the EU, because while Britain was easily one of the top contributors to the European Union, that doesn't necessarily mean that it is able to stand by itself. Britain hasn't seen a jump in their economy, which should be a major concern to people living not only in Britain, but in the general area of people that may be influenced by the British pound. So people living around Britain, even though they may not be using the British pound, they may be influenced by it because of their local economies being affected by it. And that is why there is a problem.
Do you concede the rest of your time?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much. Now we're going to be going into the rebuttals. Boat, are you ready for your rebuttal?
I am very ready for my rebuttal.
Okay, you will have 5 minutes to make your rebuttal. Are starting. Oh, shit! Stop. All right, now.
Right, saying that the pound being weaker is an obvious representation of the economy is such a simplification of economics. Okay, right. There are four major advantages to a weaker pound. First, if we focus on export industries, where price makes a difference, right? But our largest single export by value is now cars. We sell 46 billion US dollars, 37 billion pounds of those abroad a year. With a cheaper pound, the likes of Jaguar and Land Rover should make a real progress against Bavarian Motor Works and Lexus. Indeed, the German manufacturers must be feeling a little queasy. For example, you had them complaining in Bavaria, in Germany, to Angela Merkel about how she was threatening Britain during all this, and the risk of them losing their export to Britain. That's beside the point. There's also the fact that with a cheaper pound, food prices are also cheaper, which makes it better for those who are living on low income salaries to actually even get food. I think that's quite a large positive. When you look at the also we're seeing a number of weird statistic we're seeing rising is a number of pensioners after Brexit in the workforce. As of I think it's as of 2016 in July, the employment rate of Brexit pensioners was at 10.4%, which is actually quite a significant amount. But saying that a weaker pound is a complete representation of the economy, no. Right. I'm having trouble actually Can I have a second? The UK is never going to be a major manufacturing nation again, okay? Regardless of how cheap the pound gets. I can understand that. But services are our fastest growing export, and there are sectors where we lead the world, such as consultancy, design, and law. Okay? Our overall export of services hit, what was it, 119 billion pounds, 2014. The latest date for which figure has been published are growing 2% annually. We should be focusing on making the UK the world's largest legal centre and a hub for design and engineering services. London is already known for the divorce capital of the world, which is both depressing, but legal for law firms quite positive. That isn't always pretty work, but as any family lawyer will tell you, it's certainly lucrative. We should build on that. We should build on all these industries that we're able to build on. The economy cannot be represented by the value of a currency. If you've even taken Economics 101, the representation of a currency is very, very loose. And when you're in boots on the ground, when you're actually having to spend the money, having to ration your own money, your money won't change as much as the stock prices change. You will still have your money, and your money will more or less be worth the same on a day-to-day basis. But for those dealing in big money, yeah, it's going to be quite important. And if we're going to talk about the drop of currency, bear in mind, we're still the 6th largest economy in the world. We're still larger than the European Union, I believe. And think of it this, and also consider the fact that saying that we have a weaker currency means that, oh, wrong, apologies.
1 minute.
Fifth largest. At the opening of the 20th century, a pound would buy you nearly $5, I believe. That was with Harold Wilson. But it's been, with Harold Wilson, it was forced into $2.40 under Labour, but that's another point. The pound has been on rapid decrease, but the economy has not. The economy is still the 5th largest, where the pound has just gotten weaker and weaker and weaker. So to say that the pound is representative of the economy, no, it simply isn't. If it was, we would be a third world country at the rate of the dropping of the pound. So, if you want to address that, go ahead. Sorry, we're not larger than the European Union.
10 seconds.
10 seconds. I'm just going to close it with, you have to understand that the pound value is not representative of the economy's strength.
Time.
Simply put.
Thank you. You guys are doing really good. All right, so now we're going to end this with the 1-minute closing statements from each. We're going to start with Biz for the closing statement. Are you ready, Biz?
Yeah, give me 1 sec.
Did Brickens get a second 5-minute block?
Oh, wait. Did you do your rebuttal?
He didn't do a rebuttal.
No.
Okay, I'm sorry. I apologize. Are you ready to do your rebuttal?
Yeah, give me 1 sec.
I apologize. Oh my gosh.
No, that's fine.
That's why I'm here, so it's fine.
Yeah, I'm glad we have multiple people moderating this.
Okay, so I can go now.
All right, go.
Okay, so my opponent brings up a relatively decent argument when it comes to the economy, and bringing up that just looking at the currency of a nation isn't necessarily the best or the only way to determine economy. And economy is a very complex subject when it comes to overall economy. However, the best way to look at economy in a simple point of view is to look at the currency. And one of the most flat currencies of the world is the US dollar. When compared to every other currency in the world, the US is the most stable. Therefore, most comparisons between currencies happen between a national currency, or in the European Union's case, the euro, compared to the US dollar. This is where we get the statistics of both the British pound and the euro dropping. But like my opponent said, this is not the only way to compare economy. One of the other most efficient ways to compare economy is trade balance. So when it comes to trade in the world, you don't want to be buying more than you're selling around the world, because that results in really, really terrible economy, because you're shelling out money and not getting any back from trade partners. With Britain leaving the EU, they face the problem of not having readily access people to trade to. The EU helped Britain find a trade balance, and that's proven when you look at trade balance stat. There's actually a 4.2 billion pound drop in trade balance, meaning Britain is buying 4.2 billion more pounds than they're trading. This means that the British economy will continue to drop over a long extended period of time. This is very alarming, because this is now not only the British pound dropping, this is now trade balance dropping. And trade balance could be argued to be even more important than your actual currency, because like the boat said, when your currency drops, most of the time so does products in your nation. However, what doesn't drop is products from other nations, and this is where the problem lies. I'll forfeit the rest of my time.
Okay. Thank you very much. Are you guys ready for your closing statements?
Yes, actually.
Okay. Boat, you can start now.
I just want to close with that we have definitely moved on from my point of the devolved powers to the currency of the pound and how it's been effective. The benefits of the low pound can be outlined as such. Cheaper exports. A falling pound improves the competitiveness of UK exporters. There's an increase of demand for domestic products. Imports are more expensive, therefore consumers are more likely to buy United Kingdom goods, which increases the United Kingdom's aggregate demand. A low pound has also been beneficial in times of recession because it helps to increase aggregate demand as well. For example, in 1992, when the UK left the ERM, the pound depreciated, and this helped the economy to recover. In theory, the current account deficit should improve as the value of export rises relative to the value of the imports. And also, the value of currency can drop for any reason, like cuts of interest rates, declining economy, or loss of confidence. For example, the post-Brexit economy.
Beautiful.
I'm ready to go.
Biz, you ready? All right, set.
Yep.
Go.
So as we can see, not only is the British pound dropping, but so is the European euro. Now, while the European euro may not be that important to people living in Britain who are in favor of the so-called Brexit, it is important to Britain in the long run because it will affect their economy when trading with partners of the EU. Last, you see the trade imbalance that is caused by the Brexit in the fact that Britain is buying 4.2 billion more than they're selling, and this is negatively affecting their exports because a lower pound, meaning more competition, means that they're losing more profits because they're selling for cheaper prices. I forfeit the rest.
Time. Okay. That concludes the debate. We're going to be taking a vote now. You guys in the channel, in both text and voice, will be able to vote on who you think was the best debater over this topic. And who wants to get that going?
Lindsay, will you create that?
Yes, and I've posted it in general too.
And thank you for everyone that was in the channel, everyone listening and being quiet. And thank you to both of the people that were talking, the boat and Bree.
Yeah, that was
great debaters.
Yeah, I wanted to say I think both of you guys did really well. That was really close for me. But I would like to request that we don't talk about who we think won or we don't debate anything until we have the results of the poll. So, in the meantime...
Oh, they're still doing that? Wait, let me see. Oh, it's LT, dude. Like, it's the same people. Look, I was in the beginning of that shit.
Really
I even recorded it. Oh, wait, am I still recording? I don't know. Dude, I recorded that fucking debate. Look,
Mattias, you're being very rude. Please stop.
Oh, sorry, I'm in general 4. I'm sorry. I'm
Grizz
so
was against.
Yeah. So
Grizz was against and Boat was for.
So, yes, Boat was pro-Brexit. And
hey guys, can I just say one thing? Can I just say one thing? Can I just say one thing? I'm so fucking sorry for being like. I'm sorry for that. I'll move.
It's fine. Please stop.
I'm drunk as fuck. I'll move.
It's fine.
Please stop.
Thank you. So, I just want to say, while we get the results, let's not talk about the debate. But I guess that's already passed, so it doesn't really matter. Does the main moderator want to give a time limit on this poll? You guys can talk now, by the way.
Time limit on the poll. We'll keep the poll open for another minute and 30 seconds. I will call it on my end when it hits the point.
Okay.
Are we allowed to discuss like points that weren't discussed during the debate?
Not yet.
We're gonna wait until
discuss them till I close the poll.
Yes. Okay. So we can discuss something else in the meantime.
Man, isn't the weather great today?
It's fucking terrible. It's fucking terrible. It's raining. It's fucking humid. All that sort of stuff. It's a terrible weather.
What a lovely morning.
Just like to
Isn't
say,
that how it always is in Britain?
No, not always.
I'd just like to say something real quick.
Look, it hasn't rained that much this month.
I'd just like to say something real quick. My first 5 minutes were cut off because my dog started barking in the background, and I didn't want that to be on the mic, so that's why I was like really, really short.
even with that, you did a pretty good job.
I think you did.
You both did very well.
I think both of you did well.
Actually, yeah, I quite Briggs. You were a very formidable opponent.
I rate Bear thinks you both did really well too.
Thank you,
So
Daddy.
That's pretty good.
Thank you, Daddy.
Thank you, thick brown boy.
And
thick
I
brown
rate
boy.
No, chaps, well done for that. That was a fucking fantastic debate. You both raised
Thank you,
points
man.
that even the politicians during the Brexit debate didn't even bring up. So I commend you both.
That's because they're politicians.
Sorry to get over you, Irate. I'm closing the poll. So the boat has won.
Boat has won. So congratulations, the boat.
Thank you. That was good.
Screwed.
That was good debate.
Continue, Irate. You were talking. Sorry for talking over you.
No, I was just saying, very well done to both of them. They both raised points that I never even heard during the actual debate itself. So, congratulations to the boat. I mean, to argue the pro position with new arguments I've never heard from that particular side is commendable. So, well done.
Thank you very much, man. Very, very much appreciated.
Just remember, most of these people only prepared with like 5 minutes as well.
Yeah.
They
only had 10 minutes for that.
They had 10 minutes to prepare.
I'm a 16-year-old living in Illinois, so I naturally had no idea what actual economic backlash.
I
thought you went in with a disadvantage, and I still think you did pretty well, even at that.
For a good point of view, for a good point of view, as to 10 minutes of prep time for both of you. You guys did amazingly. And I really appreciate everyone here, and both of you especially, for at least being able to attack both of your point of views and each other's civilly, and it's not devolving into an argument.
All right,
this is why.
LT
This is gayer than gay porn.
LT because they're pretty much moderators of the discussion, and we're probably going to open the floor for everyone. Just try and take it one at a time and listen to LT and Just Because when they're talking, because they're going to try and keep the peace.
Basically, try not to talk over each other. Try to give people time. If I notice, or any of the moderators notice that someone's trying to get something out and they're just not able to do it, we're probably going to call on them and give them some time. So, just don't be a dick.
If someone is already talking and you want to bring up a point of view, please either at me, Lamsey, or LT, and we'll get you to talk. We'll get you a spot to talk. But please don't talk over each other, and let's have a civil discourse.
Yeah, so the floor is open if you guys want to discuss or offer questions.
I want to say something to all of you that are currently in the room. I think you guys would really benefit from setting up your own specific server.
I do.
So you won't get interrupted by drunk people.
I have my own Discord set up, and after today, I'll probably be using it. I might come in here and then
I just like to say that I'm going to leave real quick now. So thanks, everybody.
Thanks again, Brickett.
For future knowledge, I will be pulling people over to my Discord for the conversations like this, or LT if he's running it, his Discord if he has one. That way we can keep drunk people and people jumping in with music out. And I will stream it on my YouTube, on my Twitch channel if anyone wants to watch it.
Yeah, the main reason we're doing it here.
I'm not going to pull anybody from a server. I'm all about making the event in the server. I'm not trying to take people.
The main reason we're doing
it's up to the two of us.
It's like a fun thing for the Bearing Discord rather than making our own Discord, and
it's enjoyable.
Yeah,
and
I just wanted to say that the reason why a lot of you probably have never debated before, and I'm not going to lie, it's been a long time since I've been in a real debate. And this was close to real debating, but what's important is understanding and developing argumentative skill, because the reason it's relevant on the Bearing server specifically is when you see Bearing fucking bringing up his argumentative points, right? He's not fucking raging over this person. He's created his own platform to have this discussion, right? And it turns out there are people who want to hear it because he's capable of expressing his viewpoint in a way that's constructive, right? So it's like it's kind of a teaching thing, sort of like watching YouTubes like that, but at the same time, like it's a useful life skill, like knowing how to present an argument, even if you don't believe in it. Like, so that's one of the reasons why I think like this is so cool. Is like,
oh yeah, I've been in so
being
many
able to build it.
How would it be useful to present an argument that you don't believe in?
Well,
let's
say you're at work.
Can I answer that?
Yeah, whatever. I just wanted to drop that. I'm not
it proves that you understand the argument from both sides.
Yeah.
It also
me
makes
and other shitlords will argue for the case for feminism to prove that we do understand it.
Fajoli,
like a
please
debate
hold on.
You don't have to argue to understand to prove that you understand both sides.
No, you don't. But Fajoli, please.
Yeah.
It's important because you can see the argument from both sides. You can better equip yourself with your own arguments by understanding their side better too, by using it yourself. Like when we just did this debate, we're talking about someone who didn't necessarily agree with what they were saying, but they still argued it, and now they understand that argument better, so now they can go against it even better than before. My dad used to say something like, you don't go to a gunfight without bullets. Like, you have to prepare and know.
Well, no, you go with rhymes.
That argument and preparing that argument with the basics of like open discussion, make sure that you have the bullets in your gun.
Blake had something to say, and then I have something to say, so go on, Blake.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that makes sense.
So you don't have anything to say anymore? All right, I guess
no, it's good. That's convinced.
So another reason it's important to do something like this is you're not fucking perfect. You could easily be wrong in anything you believe. So, not only is it important to challenge not only is it important to understand your enemy's arguments to make it easier to defend against them, but it's important to understand them because you could easily be wrong about literally anything you believe. So you got to make sure you understand your opponent's arguments and you're not just blindlessly rejecting them because of some stigma or something. So that's another reason, in my opinion.
Yeah, like we just before this debate, we voted on a community discussion, and we talked about Lacey Green taking the red pill, and then we all sat in Rabbit and watched her video. And some people voiced some dislike to having to listen to her, but we got through the video, and then we had some really good discussions about different things that she had said, and she had said some pretty important things.
Friendly Guy had something to say. Did he already talk?
No.
All right, go ahead.
Well, so it's always very interesting to hear a debate like this because you see it argued from a very different point. But as one of the probably very few people on the server that really thinks that Britain could have done something a lot better than leave the EU, I think that what people usually forget to see when they see the EU is they see this gigantic organ of politics that discuss how they can rule your life. They aren't all that. They have kept the entire European Union at peace for a very long time, which is pretty unique. I mean, you don't really see that in such a big scale, except for maybe America.
And I do agree with. Sorry.
No, you finish.
I do agree with that point of view, Friendly. I do. I'm in America. I really can't speak as well to this, but from what I've read, what I've understood, and what I've researched myself, the EU has been far more harmful on the British economy, not economy, but British law and other countries as to Brussels deciding what laws trump what other national laws. And that wasn't brought up in this debate, but that is something that needs to be considered as towards either side. I don't say that the EU is, but each country needs to make that decision for themselves. Like here in the United States, we need to make the decision over whether states' rights trump federal rights in certain circumstances. The federal law in almost every circumstance trumps state rights, whether the states like it or not. And it has to usually be taken to our Supreme Court in order for those laws to get overturned and states' rights to actually mean something. So I don't like seeing the EU force new laws onto any country in Europe that those people have not voted on. And from what I understand, the UK is not allowed to vote on new Brussels laws. They automatically trump UK laws, and then it takes 3 or 4 non-stop passing votes for them even to bring it up to Brussels to counter it.
If I may talk about that.
Hold on, guys. TRX Troy, did you have something you wanted to say? You said me, Keck. I'm not sure if that was in response to what I said. Is that a no?
No, I was responding to something else in the
All right.
chat.
Who wanted to speak?
Oh, sorry.
If I may,
it was Friendly Guy. Friendly Guy had something to say.
Friendly Guy, go ahead, and then we'll get Bad Ape.
Okay. So again, what you're saying about the EU forcing laws upon a country. Basically, the laws it really forces upon countries are completely necessary laws for so that not the entire European Union, the economy collapses. For example, if they weren't spreading out the refugees, then a few countries would be taking all of them in, which would definitely cause for either their borders to completely fill and them to just freely spread out towards different countries, or their economy to completely collapse, which then would negatively influence, because if an entire country's economy collapses, that could lead to another financial crisis. So the only laws they really try to force on countries, because no one wants refugees, and well, let's say most countries don't want refugees, and it's very important to see that it is necessary, some of the laws they put on people. And if you might have, because Nigel Farage in his campaign for Brexit, he had a lot of like, oh, they're putting all these rules on us, but a lot of those rules after Brexit will still be in place because they are necessary rules.
May I
hold on a second? No, hold on. We're gonna have Bad Ape, and then we're gonna have Dragon Troop, and then we're gonna have you, just because, okay?
That's fine.
So, Bad Ape, go ahead.
Oh, the only point I was going to make was that Euro MPs get to vote against a law that is coming down. They don't actually get to propose them. Those are held by the central administration, or whatever they're called now.
Okay, so Dragon Troop, what did you want to say?
Oh, I don't know if it's been brought up because I came towards the end. But as we know, David Cameron supposedly went for negotiations. Now, there's multiple countries in the EU, as we all know, but there's some countries which have their own deals. Like I believe it's Denmark. They have a deal with the EU where they have the free trade. However, they don't have the laws put in place.
No, that's Norway.
Oh yes, sorry, my bad.
But Norway is not in the Union.
No, yeah, exactly.
But their currency is linked to the euro. They have like their currency can move this much above the euro and below it.
Let's let Dragon finish, please.
Because effectively, if David Cameron, like I agree with Friendly here, there was better ways of doing it. If David Cameron went in with the negotiations and did a much better job, there would have been no need for Brexit. It was fundamentally down to bad jobs in people, well, by people in Parliament, which forced Brexit to go ahead. Although, and the idea of the EU is fundamentally a good idea. It's like the League of Nations, fundamentally good idea. But the League of Nations changed into something which it wasn't at the start. That's the same with the EU. At the start, it was free trade, free movement of people. And, it was between 3 smaller countries, and now it's this big union. But effectively, it almost needs to go back to its roots, because now it's this big political mass with effectively, the top people who are supposedly voted in. It's not what it was fundamentally at its roots. It almost needs to go back to even reformed in a way to what it used to be, rather than being this big political mess that we're seeing sort of now.
All right. So just because you wanted to say something and then the boat wanted to say something, so go ahead.
Yeah, I do agree that the EU is needed. Agree with both of you guys. The EU does have its points and it is needed. And Organ Donor made a comment at me as towards our 10th Amendment. Yes, it does state that federal laws do trump state laws, but if each state has a different demographic and wants different things, a federal mandate should not force a state, as in with the EU right now, should not force a separate country, as in Britain or France, to take burden of someone else that they don't want in immigration. You shouldn't force someone who doesn't want it to do it. Yes, it's a help thing and a nice economic thing amongst everyone to equally spread out the pain, but you're forcing states who don't want it to take it no matter what. And then if they do want it and say, sorry, we need to stop this or slow this down, the EU basically says, no, we're going ahead with it anyways, and you have to deal with it. You already agreed to our mandate, and you can't back out of it. To some extent, that is valid. But if the state as a whole decides that they do not want to do something and votes against it, either by creating a law or deciding to break off contact with the EU as Brexit has done, in my mind, that allows that country, or in US terms, the state, to be able to go, I may like you guys, I may be your friends, but I don't need to agree with everything that you say and everything that you believe, whereas the EU is trying to force every state to agree after you.
All right. So, well, hold on. I think we're going to give it like 5 more minutes to wrap up. Please keep your closing statements short so we can get on to another topic. The boat, and then Friendly Guy, and then LT. Go ahead.
And LT will be the last one.
Let LT go first. I need a minute.
Okay. LT.
Friendly Guy.
Friendly Guy. Go ahead.
So what you were saying about the rules of again people coming, so taking in refugees, like everyone who voted pro Brexit had these twisted ideas of what they could do after Brexit. Because if I may be completely honest, UKIP and Nigel Farage led a very misleading campaign. They promised money that would never be available. They promised things like, oh, we can now completely control who comes into our country. You can never do that as a country, because if you're going to say we won't take in refugees, who will you take? You can either completely close your borders or keep them open to people of a certain intelligence level, which is you either discriminate very heavily and break a lot of international rules that way, or you just close your borders fully. You can't handpick people who come in because of the color of their skin or something like that. So
guys, sorry, hold on. I've posted a straw poll for what we should do next after these closing statements. So please vote. Journal 2. Go ahead. Sorry.
So basically, quickly rounding what I just set up, the campaign that UKIP led was incredibly misleading on many points, including your ideas of England can now shut its borders for whoever they want, because they will never be able to do that because of international laws, humanitarian laws. So I think that overall Brexit itself was misadvertised.
All right. So the boat, are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right, go ahead.
I just want to address the point that while we're talking about Brexit, there's
Where
a
the
very
fuck you
Anglo-centric
cunts?
view of Brexit. A very, very Anglo-centric view. Now, while England is the largest nation in the United Kingdom, I've no doubt about that. It's a fact. It is a simple fact. There seems to be this sort of disregard about the issues for the
You're
other
about to suck my
nations
dick for a 10p mix-up.
within the United Kingdom.
10p
during
mix-up
these
so
whole
powerful.
negotiations going on. For example, the most important issue, in my opinion, isn't
Okay,
even
Arla.
addressed in the
Hey, marvelous.
in the British Parliament. The idea
Fuck
of the land border that we share with the European Union, which is in Ireland.
of course.
We share a land border with them. That wasn't even debated.
You're about to suck
And
my
now
dick
it's
for a
only being
10p
addressed in the past
mix-up.
few weeks. I've heard it addressed.
You're about to
It should
who?
have been something that was more spoken of.
Oh, hello, fuck
As a
sake.
main point of debate in Westminster.
Yeah.
That would have driven a lot more people
Of
here
course,
Northern
marvellous.
Ireland to vote for leaving
Fuck
the
you
European
up,
Union,
don't
I
even know what you're
believe.
speaking, you big loyalist cunt.
There would have been more justification
Fuck's sake.
for leaving the European Union for a lot of people.
Big loyalist
But
bastard, that's what you are.
that's a whole other story.
Big
But I just want
loyalist.
to close on something. What was it? Who's it? Who's talking about?
Big fucking loyalist.
Sorry, I'm trying to get.
You're about to suck right there for a 10p mix-up. Been doing it, Jonas.
No, actually, I'll close.
Smell
It'll
your
come back to
hoe.
me and I'll say it later.
Fuck me.
All right, LT.
Smell your fucking hoe.
You still want to talk?
Smell you.
Sure, yeah. No, I kind of like half forgot what I was going to say, but there's something when Just Because was talking about
Okay, yeah.
like it being not good to compel people to do things or something. I'm not trying to straw man you, man. I just don't remember exactly what you said, and it just like it occurred to me again while the other guy was talking. I don't remember his name either, but basically it's just like the fractioning that you're comfortable with
Fuck off.
in state like doesn't
You're actually boring me.
unless it's like provably more optimal than what's been put
Yeah,
into
you're a
place.
host.
It's like irrelevant because there's always going to be a statistical percentage of people who are like very unhappy with what you're doing.
Smell your hose.
Regardless of whether or not you agree with like them, it's not just because they make a decision you don't like doesn't make it like unlawful or unconstitutional. And I think as far as like the whole immigration thing goes, the refugees into England or whatever being a part of the Brexit, I mean, that's totally like lawful is discriminating. The discrimination between like allowing people into your country is like what allows you to define borders citizenship in your country.
What
So, I mean, it's like I'm not sure what the international law is about the discrimination, but like states and countries are like more than welcome to be discriminatory because that's like how they define themselves by having a boundary of in groups and out groups. That's like how it works.
And LT,
that's all I got.
Appreciate your comment. I really do. And I'm not trying to say I know everything about Brexit. I don't. I know I don't. And I know I don't have all the information. But, and I was, yes, I'm comparing apples to oranges with the United States and UK and the EU.
Please keep this short.
I will.
I keep it short, fuck's sake.
With compelling a state or
Compelling
a country to do something they don't want to do. If the majority of that state's counties or
Can I talk a
I don't know what it is, but municipality.
Fuck's sake, let us speak.
You go with.
Can you hear me?
But if the municipalities in Britain vote against what you're trying to force them to do,
what?
That
What'd you
should
say?
trump whatever you're trying to do.
I'll just say it's slobber.
To an extent, yes, there can't
Right
be
back to Gabriel.
Are we debating
Sure,
right now,
Travis?
or can I talk?
No, we're
I'm
having
talking.
closing statements, and we're going to move on to the next
Closing
Okay, I'll
statements.
topic. Did you remember what you wanted to say? Because you're the last person to talk.
I did actually.
Ben,
Go ahead, and then we're going to close this.
Let's talk about the French election.
Yeah. Ben, can you hear me?
When you say,
wonder if
I
they can hear
do
me.
thoroughly agree with the fact that we should be able to discriminate who we let into our nation. in our nations in general. It should be
You
allowed
always
to
sent her a
happen.
message saying "fuck you."
The concept that we shouldn't be allowed, international law dictates who should let into our country is preposterous. International law, I think, is just as bad as European law. But also, a lot of people have to accept the fact, and I think a lot of people haven't accepted yet.
Yeah,
Brexit is gonna happen. It's not really a yes or no.
Fuck off, fuck's sake, you big snobby cunt.
But it's just the terms we have to discuss now.
Big snobby
discussing
bastard.
the pros of remaining, it's long gone. It's long.
Anyone
gone.
just chat with a fucking
We are now beyond that point. We've got past the event horizon, essentially. It's now time to just discuss how we are going to leave. That's the only thing I think should be a real discussion at this point. That's what I want to end with.
Alright, fuck's sake. My
So-
time.
Can I talk? No, we finished that discussion. So please vote in the poll on what we're doing next, because it's tied right now.
Not
and
poll.
It's kind of annoying.
Community discussion. Holy shit.
Could someone link the poll to wherever it is? I've voted it, or I've linked it in discussion too. Or fuck's sake, I can't even think right now. General too.
Hello there. Yo, boat, can you hear me?
I reposted
Give this poll. I'm going to give this poll 30 seconds, and then we're going to move on to the next.
Okay,
topic.
that seems interesting.
So if you don't vote, then you don't get to vote. Fuck you.
Looks like community just.
Fuck you too.
Just do it.
Yeah, I'm going to call it in 10, 9, 8, 5,
7,
4,
6, 5, 4, 0.
It's closed.
Yeah.
We're
All
going
right.
for community
It's closed.
discussion.
Okay.
Join general
Are we going to do this the same way we've been doing it? Just get
Yes.
topics top down. All right.
Topics, man.
Keep
Let's
the same method we've been doing.
If you guys don't know,
Most fair.
I'm gonna call your names by where you are on the list, and I'm gonna try and get some ideas from you. A single idea on what the topic should be, and then we're gonna put it up to a straw poll. So
The border in Ireland.
The French election.
who has the yellow icon, the yellow default icon? I can't see his name. It's just ellipses.
That's all his name is.
Whoever turned their mic on just now.
There's one above
Organ.
Do you mean me?
toothpick. There's one above toothpick on my screen, and it's organ donor.
Well, okay. Well, I'll come to him if he can tell me if I skipped him. So, organ donor, do you have a suggestion on what the next discussion should be about? Organ donor?
He's got his mic muted.
I'm just listening.
All right. Bad Ape, do you have a suggestion on
Toothpick. You skipped over toothpick.
Oh, okay, that's who it is. Toothpick, do you have a discussion or a suggestion on what the debate should be about?
No, not really.
No? Okay. Bad Ape, do you have a suggestion on what the discussion should be about?
I'll bring up one from last time. How about immigration?
Immigration, okay. Balaclava Ben, do you have a suggestion?
Best suggestion ever.
Well, I don't know what you said, so we're just going to go to Big Sean. Big Sean, do you have a suggestion? Big Sean? 3, 2, 1. Cannabis Corpse, do you have a suggestion?
The French election and the long-term results of who is elected. The possible long-term results.
Okay.
For future knowledge,
You guys can decide what you want to talk about from there.
for future knowledge, just give the basics, like the French election,
And then if you
can
win-
elaborate from there.
Yeah. Crucify Robin Hood, do you have a suggestion? All right.
Yeah, let me know when you guys
Troop.
post the straw poll.
Okay. Dragon Troop, do you have a suggestion?
Yeah, sure. French elections, that would be quite a good topic, I believe.
Well, that's already been said, so do you have anything else you want to add? Or
Syrian Okay, yeah, the effects of Syria on the rest of the world.
Okay. Fioli, do you have a suggestion?
Fioli?
Okay. Friendly guy, do you have a suggestion?
Can you come back to me?
All right. Georgiers, do you have a suggestion? Georgiers, 3, 2, 1. Heroic Nico, do you have a suggestion for the next discussion?
Right there, Chief.
All right. Ideal Rob. Okay. Ideal Rob, do you have a suggestion for the next discussion?
Is it okay to use an illicit substance to get yourself off of another illicit substance?
So, is it okay to use...
For example, a classic example
illicit drugs? I understand.
Like someone who drinks once. Well, someone who like drinks wants to like let's say someone is like a drinker and they want to smoke weed to quit.
Yeah, I've got it. Jesse, do you have a suggestion?
No.
Okay. Just because, do you have a suggestion?
Is the effects North Korea may have on international law and international community?
Can you refine that question a little bit?
The effects North Korea would have on its neighbors.
What a fucking baby.
Okay.
Your keyboard? Fuck me.
Crazy, do you have a suggestion?
Long-term effects of Trump's president.
Long-term effects of what?
Trump's presidency.
Okay. The Oser Cops, do you have a suggestion?
By 1.
What?
Nothing. Don't
The Oser Cops, 3, 2, 1. Load, aim, and snipe. Do you have a suggestion?
I'm running with the same one. Foreign policies on extraterrestrials.
Again.
How come there's so many people in here with their mic muted?
Because
they're being polite.
Yeah, I'm trying to get suggestions for the
10
next.
seconds. If they don't respond, just pass.
Yeah. Loop 7Y, do you have a suggestion? Three, 2, 1. Lieutenant.
Lieutenant's the same one again. It's Spirit of Empathy.
I already have this. Mr. Hudson, do you have a suggestion? Mr.
All right, there, Chief.
Purple Lemons, do you have a suggestion?
Mismanagement of taxpayer money.
Okay, The Boat, do you have a suggestion?
Monarchy versus Republic.
Okay. The Merrick, do you have a suggestion? Oh, he's okay. Vidleaf, do you have a suggestion?
No.
Okay. Oh fuck. Wafflecopter. Wafflecopter. Do you have a suggestion?
No, I just joined. Sorry.
Well, that's fine. Do you have a suggestion on what we should discuss next? Any topic you want to argue about?
Nothing comes to mind.
All right. Who said they wanted me to get back to them?
Me.
Okay. Do you have a suggestion then?
Should online hacktivist groups be allowed to target terrorist groups and other such institutes legally?
Is that it? Is that everyone?
Yeah, that should be everyone.
Okay. I'm putting up the poll now. Vote for whichever one sounds interesting to you, and don't talk about Don't talk about who you voted for or which one's the best or anything. We don't want to influence the results before they come out. Or we don't want to influence the results and have like a bandwagon choice because that'd be fucking lame. So we can talk about something else in the meantime. I've posted it in general too, so make sure to vote on that. In the meantime, fuck, I already said that. I'm really tired right now, sorry. You guys can talk now, so go ahead.
Also right.
Yeah, that's why I'm like I'm taking a step back and letting other people take control. Gotta decompress.
Yeah, you seem just pretty chill. I've just realized I'm still in the rabbit link.
Oh, that's funny.
You can just leave that now.
Yeah, I think so. I forgot to leave it.
You're right there, Chief.
I mean, that rabbit link was done ages ago.
What?
All right.
Yeah, sorry for not being so active. I lost a lot. I lose a lot of steam after afternoon. I need my nap time.
That's fine, don't worry. Oh, big boy.
It's 10 to 1 a.m. for me.
Get some sleep. Get some.
I'll maybe occasionally interject, but I'm trying to play a nice little Republic 2 right now, so I'm a little busy. But
we still
you're too busy playing video games to talk to us. I see.
That game is so easy.
I mean, I can do it both, but I mean, it's a lot easier to debate or communicate ideas properly when you're not already doing something.
That's the challenge, though.
I am up for a challenge, of course.
Always come in and just listen.
Just because, do you want to name a cutoff point for this poll?
We'll give the poll 5 minutes. I'll call it when it hits 3:56 here.
All right. If you guys want to get some water, stay hydrated, or stretch or anything, so you don't get blood clots or something, you know.
Water is for little girls. I drink pure gasoline.
Drink pure ethanol.
You guys are all shit eaters. You should all drink
I only drink the blood of my enemies.
I see, because you see, guys. Well, I have some news to break to you guys. I sexually identify as a steam engine locomotive. I would ask that you guys use the pronouns chew, wee woo, and chugga.
How about no? Fuck you.
Yeah, I like that one.
Canada.
I mean, only two genders.
Steam locomotives are pretty important, guys.
How do you tell?
I hate to tell you,
how do you guys think that you ever tell your friends?
I mean, how else do people transport their crack nowadays? I mean, they don't do it by plane, obviously.
How would you tell?
Yes, they do.
Banged his mom.
They don't use
I identify as an attack helicopter, and I don't force anyone else to call me that.
Just transport your drugs.
You liar! I heard you identified as a slice of pepperoni pizza.
No, here's the thing,
Oh, yeah?
Here's the thing, because you're an attack helicopter. As soon as you try and force that opinion onto anyone, you're just gonna get shot down by a SAM site.
Yeah, you're right.
I sexually identify as a SAM site.
Well, there you go.
I sexually identify as a Donald Trump.
Therefore, you're president.
I sexually identify as rich.
Donald Trump
That is good
is
sexual identity.
Privileged white man.
Oh, in all seriousness, though, if you want to identify as something other than male or female, I don't care. I mean, but as long as you ask politely that I use the proper pronouns or whatever.
What a robust feminist argument.
I hate sexuality.
You don't like what's that? You're white and you're straight.
That really hurts my ears.
Cannabis.
You can right click on people and turn the volume down yourself if it is too loud.
Whoever's doing the screeching, whoever's doing the screeching needs to stop.
Please don't mongolize.
Should online hacktivist groups be allowed to target? It looks like we're doing it hacktivist groups. It's either that or the French election.
Well,
Have
we
another
are allowed to
minute.
talk about the things.
Have another minute.
Well, gentlemen, I'm going to head off, so it was good talking to you this evening.
Goodbye, I
the
sent
boat.
you a friend request, by the way, Boat.
Thank you very much. Alright, I'll see you later.
Later, Boat.
Jimbo,
Maybe
please turn your
January.
mic off.
Just mute. You can mute people.
I'll be on tomorrow anyway. See you.
All right, me too. Later.
Can we just talk about how I don't know if any of you guys live in America, but if you do, I'm sure you know how bad school lunches are.
Closing the poll. Hacktivist groups allowed to target terrorist groups.
You know, back when I lived in the U.S., school
cannabis.
lunches consisted of entirely.
I live in Scotland, and school lunches have been getting worse here as well. So,
all right, guys,
are your school lunches prison food?
No.
Pretty much.
Guys,
in the US,
today we got waffles and sausage, like a circle sausage that looks like a hockey puck.
Okay, guys. So we're gonna head into the decided discussion now, which is actually we're gonna get I can't think right now. We're gonna get some clarification on this topic. Do we feel we need clarification on this, guy?
No, it has plenty of clarification. Should online hacktivist groups be allowed to target terrorist groups and other such institutes legally?
That's the next discussion. So,
can I go first on that one? I'm so down. I'm ready.
In my opinion, that has plenty of description on what it's about and how to handle it. We can take it from there. If you want to talk, please at me, Lamsey, or LT, and you can talk next. Who was that just asked to talk?
Me, it was me. Pick me. Oh, pick me.
He did.
LT,
you're right there.
Go.
All right, so I don't think it's constitutional or morally just to allow that to happen or to encourage it, because the whims of a hacktivist group are very different than like the broad justification that an entire voting populace gives to a government. Way more subjective than a government, and subject to like the polarities of the political sphere of the time. The same way like Bering made the argument about them deciding whoever was a Nazi. I think it's the same thing. It's like, sure, when it's like a bad group like ISIS, it's really easy to be like, yeah, those are the bad guys. But like, where do you draw the line? And who gets to draw the line? That's my point.
All right, friendly guy, go ahead and say your piece.
Well, I think that is probably necessary. Yes, proper clarification over the term terrorist group and stuff like that is, of course, the most important thing in such a, if you were to implement this. But it's also very important. It doesn't matter how they do it, as long as they just target that one group and cause that one group to just cause them problems. Wouldn't that just be a good thing overall?
All right, so
because they would have to divert resources to fixing that problem.
So Cannabis Corpse can go and then load, aim, and snipe.
Well, I do believe that like it's a very touchy subject. If you do it right, this could actually be a good thing. Like, not like it would not have to be a hacktivist group though. If something were like this to actually happen, it would probably end up being like a government implemented like program, like a group. It'd probably be like a subdivision like the NSA, but a hacktivist group, no, they shouldn't be allowed to do that because, like, people like /poll, I mean, you never know what they're gonna do. I believe someone else already said that earlier, so I'm just reiterating at this point. But you'll never know what they're going to do at one point. One moment they could be, targeting Antifa members and exposing them for hitting people on the head with bike locks. The next thing you know, they could be, I don't know, fucking uploading gore porn to like a children's site. You can't be too sure with them, and that could give very bad publicity for the government, and that's publicity that the government doesn't need right now because they already get enough bad publicity as it is. Because literally anything that happens gets construed in a bad manner.
All right,
I think that's good.
So load, aim, and snipe. Go ahead, and then it's gonna be then it's gonna be Leo Cops, and then it's going to be Purple Lemons. So go ahead, Loden, aim and snipe.
Okay, I'm not gonna bother arguing with morals here because that's a bit ambiguous. So legally, in a sense, I mean, if they do it, if they target a group that's in a country that has no law against it, then I can't really say we should stop them because there's nothing we can do about it at this point. So at this point, just let them do what they do. If it's illegal in the country that they're targeting the group in, then it's illegal. Arrest them. Go ahead. But if it's not, then do nothing about it.
All right, Leo Cops, did you have something to say?
I did. Basically, if you're opposed to vigilantism, then you needs must be opposed to activism. Whilst it's obviously necessary sometimes to, well, find out things that are being hidden from us from government bodies, which we think should be transparent. The amount of problems rife with it are exactly the same that run around with vigilantism. People shouldn't be going around attacking things without governance. It's just wrong. And we know, I mean, we had an attack here in England against the NHS today, whereby the entire NHS system went down. Probably killed a shitload of people. If we're legitimizing that sort of thing, well, it definitely killed a shitload of people. If we're legitimizing that sort of thing and we're leaving it open to who gets to decide, well, it's just mob justice at that point, isn't it? And if you're against mob justice, you've got to be against legalizing activism.
All right, Purple.
I just want to thank the Batman for joining us in debate.
I was about to say, can you please?
Thank you for your service.
Purple Lemons, go ahead.
All right. Let's see. So, as far as like online groups, fuck, I already lost my place. Sorry.
Do you want me to get you later?
No. So anyway, Anonymous took down, I think, 10,000 child pornography websites, and at first that might seem okay, but at the same time, it could also be interrupting like FBI and other like actual official government investigations on those websites. They're actually disrupting potential arrests and things like that when they're doing these things, because I'm sure that the FBI knows about this if Anonymous does. And so, I think they're just going to be getting in the way, because now these people are going to be, more paranoid that, they know that people know their website and stuff like that. So that's what I have to say.
All right. We don't have anyone lined up next, so.
Can I say something quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, what you have a lot with like these terror groups is that they have multiple Twitters and multiple Facebooks and the multiple. The very dangerous thing about terror groups is they recruit people in all different countries through social media and other such sites. If you say a hacktivist group were to, I'm not saying you entice hacktivist groups to go after such institutes, but I'm just saying that if you were to allow, if they were to go after them, that you wouldn't like prosecute them for that, like going after their Facebooks and Twitter and stuff like that.
Can I respond to that?
Yes, go ahead.
I would have thought, well, for much the same reason that I don't think watching TV or playing video games affects your sort of state of mind, as it were, or turn you into a murder machine. I don't think anyone's found through the Twitter pages or social media sites that doesn't already have an active interest in terrorist activity. I don't think these tweets are making terrorists. I think these are people who are already dissatisfied with their life, mentally ill one way or the other. Of course, that's a discussion for another time. But I really don't think those things are doing that much harm. If people want to join a terrorist cell, they can. And at the end of the day, all that someone needs to do to actually commit a terrorist act is pick up an axe and go ham at a shopping market. It's all you need to do. So I don't think those are as dangerous as people make them out to be.
All right.
Can I?
Go ahead.
They might not be as dangerous, but they are certainly recruiting people. For example, only here in the Netherlands, we've had, I believe, 6 people being recruited by ISIS just through social media alone, and that's been proven because they found the conversations between those people and the social, because it gives you a place to talk with the terrorists and to reach out to them. And they reach out to you. They on those Twitter pages, on that Facebook page, they give you this rose-colored image of what it's like to work with them, to be one of them, and that is really what entices people to join them. And if basically on YouTube we're talking a lot about platforms, who you should give a platform and who you shouldn't. This is basically, should we let hacktivist groups take away the platform that they have?
I've got two things to say to that. First of all, 6 people out of a nation is an incredibly small number, and about the number I'd expect of people who would be willingly taken over to this sort of stuff. And number 2, I would speculate that these people were picked up on and recruited, and indeed we know about these 6 people because they were going through social media. In fact, I would rather speculate that social media and recruitment through social media is much easier to track than the alternative.
All right, hold on. I just want to
I second that.
If you want to butt in,
debating, or
if you want to butt in, just tell me anytime. Like, at me in the chat, and I'll get you in.
This is a community quote unquote debate. I don't know what all the solid rules are, but basically you raise your hand by tagging one of the mods, and then they'll call you in,
and we'll get you in. So, friendly guy, go ahead.
Well, again, I live in a very small nation, so 6 people out of a nation is kind of a big thing for us, at least. I mean, I believe more people live in New York than in our country, so for us it's a lot of people. But you say that it's very unlike. But if you look at those Twitters, if you look at those Facebooks, they really romanticize it. And if you're depressed, if you're unhappy with your life, and you see that romanticized image of it, because their Facebook and their Twitter is the only other place that they really romanticize it. And basically, if you take that away, if you take away the so-called rose-colored image of terrorism, then people only see like what the news portrays of it, which is not a nice image of terrorism. So basically, I think it's a very good thing if a hacktivist group, for example, I believe what a hacker did take down all the Twitter pages of ISIS for a bit, and I thought that was great, because what you see is that they lose a platform for a while, and that is I can't see that as anything but valuable.
All right, we're gonna have Lieutenant, and then Cannabis Corpse, and then Leo Circops.
Okay, so first off, like, whether or not it removes a romantic notion or like a platform for them to speak from isn't the question. Like, there's no doubt in anyone's mind that can be done either legally or as a vigilante. Like, that's not what's at question here. It's the morality of letting someone on their own or within just their small group decide to take the law into their own hands and punish someone that perhaps hasn't actually committed a crime, or isn't doing something that's like illegal, or like it's basically just like, if everyone is subject to the legal perspective of everyone else, not as a collective body but as other individuals, like, it's not order, it's chaos. Like, you don't get to exist freely in a world where any person could decide to ruin your life if they felt like it, with no repercussions, which is like what we're debating, the morality of allowing these hacktivist groups to intervene in someone else's life. And it's like just going back to how we define terrorist. If we allow them to define terrorist on their own, and you have no way of controlling how they define terrorist, because they might be feminists or they might be religious zealots, you don't have control of that. We're debating whether or not hacktivists should be able to do it, and they can come from any sector and do whatever they want if you're okay with it. I think fundamentally it's not moral to let them take the law into their own hands without public backing. If they have public backing, why aren't they just a part of the government? That's all I got.
All right, so I'm gonna need Just Because to take over for me real quick, because I have something to do. Okay. But Cannabis Corpse, and then Leo Circops, and then I think Just Because had something to say after Leo Circops.
Yep.
So go ahead,
Cannabis.
So now I understand where you're coming from, but if you told me that someone was going to hack into, say, Riley J. Dennis's YouTube channel and replace all the video thumbnails with gore porn, I wouldn't necessarily complain. Now, is that a good thing? No, but you can't. I mean, yes, I agree that you shouldn't let them dictate what the term terrorist is. I feel like it would be better if if there was like a set term and like there were groups that were listed. Like if you told me that people are going to hack and like take funding away from ISIS, I wouldn't complain. It's fucking ISIS. They behead people. They kill people. They're not exactly the nicest bunch of people in the world to talk to. I mean, now if it's a bunch of feminists, if they haven't done anything wrong, no, obviously they shouldn't be targeted. And if they are targeted, the people who targeted them should be tracked down and prosecuted under the full like jurisdiction of the law. Now, but if someone were to say target ISIS, I mean, if I was a government official, I mean, I wouldn't say I would necessarily go after them because they're targeting fucking ISIS. I mean, yeah, it pretty much is. Let's be real, but it's really all about like perspective, honestly. And I mean, it really like, overall though, honestly, I don't think it would happen though, because like people's like perspectives on the word terrorist changes so much that it's so inconsistent. You never know what you're going to get. Like one person might think that ISIS is a terrorist, but another person might find them perfectly reasonable and might just target like Riley J. Dennis all day. Like, I mean, shit. I mean, I'm just gonna go back and play fucking Knights of the Republic 2. I don't got time for this anymore. I'm out of breath. I'm hungry.
Okay. I think that was me then, sorry.
Yes.
Are you done? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Leo, Cop.
I've just got a couple of points to make. So I think what we're returning to here is the fact that Facebook pages do not require hacktivists specifically to be able to take them down. It doesn't need hacktivists, so why should it? We've already seen people who work at Facebook being used by governments, such as in Germany, and I believe in the UK as well, to help monitor these people. So the need for hacktivists is vastly reduced, and I stand by the point that these people are easier to find over social media than they are over other means. My other point is people with depression, etc., will find a reason to attack others. Now, I'm going to take that back, actually. People don't need to be mentally ill to do this sort of shit. I've been attacked myself for all sorts of reasons. There are people out there who will just feel like they need to fight. They'll find a justification to do it, and then they'll do it. But my final point that I would end on is that if the general populace are attacking people of another nation, whether that be Turkey or otherwise. So hacktivists, your random person on the street is attacking people in another nation, whether it's a cyber attack, whether it's beating them up in the streets or whatever. Every time a member of the general populace attacks someone of another nation or belief, it justifies attacks against those people, if that makes sense. The general populace, not the government, not the army or whatever, killing them if they're attacking you can be quite easily justified. If the people are attacking you, then it's easier to explain to these people that yes, the people of Britain, the people of US, the people of whatever are a big threat to you. So it's bringing attention onto the general populace and legitimizes terrorism as far as I'm concerned.
Okay. Are you done, Leo? Leo, are you done?
Yes.
Are we starting to wrap this up now?
You will in a second. Friendly Guy wants to make his remarks, and then I'm going to make my remarks. And as far as I know, no one else wants to make theirs, so we'll end it after me. Unless they want to rebut what we say. But, Friendly Guy?
Yeah, well, one last thing before I head off for the night. Well, about hacktivist groups and terrorism, I think, yes, it does indeed put a like, you can see it as an incentive for the terrorist groups to attack the general populace. But the beauty about hacktivist groups is it's never clear about what country exactly they're coming from, which means that the terrorist groups don't actually have one target to focus on. And again, what I said before, the hacktivist groups themselves wouldn't be the ones who would be choosing what is and what isn't a terrorist group. They would be there would be a clear list of like groups you could probably, for example, ISIS would be up there, Al Qaeda, like those would be the. I think that in such a case, the government would make sure that only the extreme cases of terrorism would be legal to attack. So I think, again, moderation is the key word here. and that it's all the beauty of a hacktivist group is they are beyond the government, so they have less limitations, and sometimes you need less limitations when fighting stuff like terrorists.
All right.
And good night.
Just
Friendly?
because. Good night, Friendly. Thanks for joining us.
Good night, Friendly. My point on this, towards what Friendly and everyone else has said, is yes, hacktivism groups may have a valid point and reason for an attack on a terrorist group or organization, but even if you declare what the definition of a terrorist is, and the definition of, and you put them on your watch list, that group, i.e. the FBI watch list or the UK's version of theirs, Interpol. But either way, if it's illegal in the country that hacker is in, that hacker should be arrested. Because it is an illegal attack that they're making on someone else. If it's a government-regulated organization, i.e. the CIA, which I don't always agree with the CIA and their motives, or even the NSA and their motives, you unleashing, let's call them the dogs of war. You want to declare war with your population on someone else. These terrorists have already declared war on us. You're giving them more justification to act out their aggression on the populace. And yes, the attacks could be coming from Russia, Turkey, Germany. It could be coming from anywhere. But all they got to do is the West is attacking us. And maybe radicalize more citizens in the United States, Germany, France, Britain, Russia. You're giving them more ammunition to pull people to their side, because they can then claim more persecution. I'm not saying that ISIS gets attacked on social media and their Twitter and shit gets taken down, but seeing the validity of an argument that you're making and the counterpoints to that argument needs to be seen before you make a decision that could cause more people's lives, especially innocent civilians. A life is a life. I'd rather have no one die in the world. But if it comes down to my friends and my family, yeah, I'll take someone else out and I'll suffer the consequences for it. But if you're unleashing or allowing and permitting someone to decide who can and cannot be attacked, i.e., let's take it in electronic terms, doxed, like Bearing was doxed, or anyone else, Irate Bear, you're giving them to any group to decide who is an enemy.
Judge, you've been talking for like 5.
No one should be able to determine.
Yeah. Okay.
I have a quick question.
Yes.
Is this going to be the only topic we cover, or will we be covering other topics as well?
We'll cover other topics.
No, we're done now. That was us wrapping up. Yeah. So instead of doing the poll like we normally do, can we just get people saying if they want to switch to a debate rather than a community discussion?
Yeah, let's just do that. Post it in chat. At
me if you want to switch to debate. Don't at me if you want to switch to community discussion. It's going to be like a show of hands. If there's enough people, we'll switch to a debate rather than community discussion.
I'm still trying to figure out what I'm trying to eat, so you guys do your own thing. I've gotten quite desperate at this point. I'm even resulted to letting other people decide for me.
I guess I'll just make the poll then. That'd probably be easier.
Make a mustard sandwich.
It's tied between BLT, my own semen, and then coming in third or second is I ran out of ideas at this point, so I'll say bread.
Always go for a cheese toast.
All right, guys. So a debate is a one-on-one between two people that the chat picks out of a group of volunteers on a subject that the chat picks. And a community discussion is like what we just had. The entire community, or the entire voice chat channel, talks about a subject. So vote in the straw poll on what we should do next. You guys can talk now, by the way. Since we're in between.
Actually, I thought this was like a classroom where if you talk without raising your hand, you get a detention.
I never listen to my teachers, anyways.
Only if we're talking about a topic. Right now, we're not. So
I would like to suggest it.
Why is my mic not going off?
Crazy, you had something to say?
No, I'm good, man.
Oh, okay, then it was Leo.
Yes, I would like to suggest a discussion on if we are to take it that the SJW thing is coming to a close. We've done Christianity and religion. We've done SJWs. Who do we think is next?
Muslimism.
Trash. This is a conversation topic.
We will take that determination after we decide whether it's going to be a discussion or a debate.
I'm going to give this poll 30 more seconds. Make sure to vote in the straw poll if you haven't yet. I'm going to link it again in general too. I'm going to get suggestions from everyone in the chat once we decide if we want to have a discussion or a debate on what the topic should be.
About half my tabs are currently straw polls.
Close them out. Only keep the most recent.
Never. I will keep them all.
Okay, that's up to you.
All right. 5 more seconds on the poll. All right, the poll's closed. Discussion 1. I gave it a few more seconds because someone... Yeah. So, we're going to have a discussion again. So I'm going to get some ideas. So think about some ideas. I'm going to go down the list of what we should have a discussion about. So, Battlelure. Oh, okay. Cannabis Corpse. Do you have an idea?
Let's go with something generic. The legalization of marijuana.
Okay. Crucify Robin Hood. Crucify Robin Hood, are you there? All right. Heroic Naiko. Okay. Jam the Pump.
I don't know. I just joined, so I don't know what is this about.
Give us an idea, or give us a topic that we can discuss in the Discord. It can be anything.
Interaction rituals might be interesting. It's about how we perceive everyday actions, like saying hello, how are you? They also have actually like interaction rituals.
Interaction rituals. Okay.
Personal interactions.
Okay. Jimbo, do you have a suggestion? Is that your suggestion? Type it in chat. What your suggestion is. Boobs versus ass. Okay. Just because.
Immigration.
Okay, immigration. Crazy.
I'll go with non-illegal immigration. So like,
that's still immigration, so I guess I'll call on you if it wins as well as just because. So, the Oser Cops, do you have a suggestion?
Suggestion of who do we think is next?
A suggestion on the topic. Oh, who do we think is next after the SJWs?
I actually have two suggestions, if I may. The second being the ethics of economic colonialism, which is just massive at the moment.
I'm sorry. Just because, are we allowing more than one suggestion?
Well, that's up to you.
Yeah, we should be fine.
Okay. Well, it's
Oh, can I suggest abortion then?
Okay. Leoser Cops, can you repeat your suggestion? I'm sorry. Your second suggestion
is on the ethics of the new wave of economic colonialism.
Okay. Load, aim, snipe.
Foreign policies and extraterrestrials.
Okay.
Hey, Snipe, if we don't get to your terrestrial thing, message me and we'll do it over in my channel.
All right.
Loopy, or Loop 7Y, I suppose. Loop 7Y, do you have a suggestion? 3, 2, 1. Lieutenant, do you have a suggestion?
Yeah, I already tagged you, bud.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. In that case, Mr. Hudson, do you have a suggestion? Mr. Hudson? 3, 2, 1. Not your mommy, do you have a suggestion?
No, I'm good. Whatever you guys decide on.
ORRK, do you have a suggestion? ORRK?
It's orc.
Orc. That's fine. Okay. Papa Pika, do you have a suggestion? 3, 2, 1. Purple Lemons, do you have a suggestion?
Who is the best waifu?
Okay. UX. Suggestion?
Suggestion for what?
A topic of conversation.
Yeah.
Should America change the national anthem to Fury of the Storm?
Actually an ape. You're actually an ape.
Okay. The Merrick, do you have a suggestion?
He's got you. He's got his headset muted, and so does Wait.
Oh yeah, sorry. Zyril, do you have a suggestion? Normie oppression. Okay. Did I miss anyone at all? Economic migrant. Hello. Do you have a suggestion for the next topic that we discussed?
Sure. Why not? What are you guys talking? What would you talk about last? What did you talk about last?
Should activist groups be allowed to target terrorist groups?
Legally. We've also had the traps are gay.
Well, everybody knows penis makes it cute.
Basically, just anything. So, do you have a suggestion?
All right. I don't know.
A suggestion.
Yeah, do. Put me on the spot here. Now I can't just back down. Face of adversity, you double down. All right.
Leap off the cliff.
Let's have a discussion on whether or not there is hate speech on my camp.
There.
And whether or not we should keep it off my campus.
We should. Economic migrant, do you have a suggestion or not?
Yeah, sure. Let's have a suggestion. All right. How about this? All right. So you guys seen the Sargon video on Banff, right?
Yeah,
I have. Yes.
Yeah, I live in California, so that's bad for me. All right. Already pushing it. I mean, I got cops living everywhere around me, and because I have 3 guns, I feel like they're always watching.
Is there?
I only have 3. It's not even. It's not even that much.
He's being so gay.
Oh, it's very good.
So
I'm just playing, dude. I'm just playing.
Do you have a suggestion or not?
Yes. Yeah, let's talk about Bam, man.
Bam is what he wanted.
Okay, I'm creating this poll. So fuck you if I didn't get your suggestions.
You forgot to add the suggestion of whether or not Anthony Weiner has had the best name of a politician in history.
Yeah, I'm not gonna add that.
Outside of Harry Balls, of course.
All right, I've posted the straw poll General 2.
That's because General 2 is the only place to post things.
That's true.
Choose a topic. Boobs versus ass. That's pretty good.
Boobs versus ass.
I've chosen boobs over.
Boobs versus ass. Boobs versus ass. I have to go boobs versus ass.
Let's not discuss the whole
I am the only
Guys,
Shut up.
stop.
Shut up.
Stop.
Shut up.
We're
Okay,
talking about the poll while it's in effect.
You don't have to stop talking, but yeah, please don't talk about the poll so we don't have bandwagoning or anything.
Yeah, this isn't this isn't General 1.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, we're fucking better than those plebeians in General 1.
Fucking tell him, dude.
Personally, I would change the U.S.'s national anthem to something nice, like
That's a poll
that one
option. Stop. That's
All right. I got a side poll while we're polling. Who has the biggest dick on the server, LT or LT?
I do.
Well, it's not LT anyway.
My dick is bigger. My dick clocks in at an astonishing 1 millimeter.
LT, can I get some clarification here? Which LT are you talking about?
Are you retarded?
Well, LT, I abstained from voting.
Guys, Jimbo has the biggest dick.
Still store from last time, huh?
We're gonna give this poll 30 more seconds, and then I'm gonna call it. You guys can talk.
Yeah.
You have my permission.
Well,
I got an ad.
people are voting for the best.
I'm seeing an ad for Blade and Soul to the right, and I'm not sure if it's hentai or not.
To die.
Is it hentai or is it just a game?
It's a video game.
It looks like borderline hentai, if you ask me.
You must look at a lot of hentai.
Have you seen to basically look at all animes as hentai?
Recommended ads.
I mean, she's got big titties.
Leo knows.
Yeah, you're talking about Asian games here. I'm not surprised.
I'm actually genuinely surprised how many weebs follow Bearing. I thought it was going to be a much more conservative crowd, just being real.
Where are the Game of the Year candidates like Roblox Call of Duty? That is Game of the Year material right there.
What the fuck is this weeb shit someone sent me?
Send me it. I'm interested because I'm sure it's going to be awful.
I'm
interested because evidence.
I'm calling the poll.
Yes.
Boobs versus ass has won, so that's our next conversation topic.
It's not even a debate, dude. It's not even a fucking debate. Ass. I rest my case.
Uploads Dark Souls 3 DLC to the Ring City trailer.
Wait till you see my ass, man.
Do you wanna set this up? Just because.
All right, so pretty much we're going to have a civil discussion about the voted upon subject, which is boobs and ass.
That's what they voted for. I mean,
I'm going to step out for a smoke. So, LT, you want to take over for a minute?
Sure.
I want to go first.
All right, so guys, tag me or Lamsey if you want the mic. Otherwise, try to keep it civil. I'm okay if you guys want to have a little more of an engaging discussion with each other. Just try not to be fucking shouting over each other over who's cooler.
All right, so boobs versus ass won the poll.
Yeah, so it looks like Leo is going to go first.
All right, Cannabis, go ahead. Yeah. Oh, never mind. Leo. It's Leo. You got there first.
Fair enough. I would posit the arse is more enjoyable to a wider group of people, and further is a better indication of health for everyone.
That sounds fucking faggoty.
Cannabis corpse, go ahead, and then
boobs, because poop doesn't come out of them.
Okay. Economic migrant. Did you have something you wanted to add? No. All right. Well, who wants to go next then?
Well, who's what?
Economic.
I'll just jump into General 5 because my suggestion didn't win anyway.
Economic migrant. Did you have something you wanted to add to the subject?
Of boobs versus ass, I'm gonna have to say, all right, when you have a nice set of cheeks, all right, on a lady, it indicates good birthing ability, all right. Just because they don't have tits, all right, doesn't mean that they're not going to be able. You know, if they have big tits, doesn't mean they'll be able to spit out the babies to feed with the big tits, all right. But if they have a nice ass, it doesn't matter if they can't feed the baby. You can just spit out more of them, just in case.
Preach, preach, brother. Arguments. Anyone else have anything to add?
Proves an ass a shit. I want to see how she can handle a frying pan.
Well, see, that's where you're wrong, Bucko. You don't need to make her cook. You sit her down and you have her spit babies out every 8 months.
Having a big butt is like a sign of muscle mass in the legs, which means she's agile and can ride the dick very good. Yes.
Yeah, but it means she can run away from you.
No, it doesn't. That's why you got to cut her Achilles tendon every 6 months.
I would like to go again real quick.
Go ahead.
Okay. So, boobs give you milk. Milk makes you stronger. Therefore, milk is like steroids, and steroids are good. Therefore, boobs are good.
That's like saying blowjobs are to steal gains.
Got him.
No.
That's kind of true. It's kind of true, bud.
Okay. A woman won't be producing milk usually until she's had a child. I mean, if you want milk, men can lactate themselves if you put enough weirdness in their bodies. So
there you go.
Guess what getting pregnant requires? Dim cheeks.
You can have a dude ranch. How's that?
It's open floor right now if anyone wants to chime in.
I'm just you can put your dick in cheeks. You cannot put your dick in tits.
See, that's where you're wrong, Bucko.
That's your Bucko, pal.
I just wanted to let you know that traps are gay.
Bucko.
What was that? I couldn't hear you over the sound of a fuck.
Wrong as well.
Case that we shouldn't allow meme requests in these discussions.
Yeah, this isn't really working out. Let's we can move on to immigration since it was.
Let's talk about immigration.
Oh yeah,
sure.
I'm very knowledgeable in immigration.
Was there any thought that it would work?
Like I don't want to talk about my job.
Only allow immigrants with big butts.
You guys voted for it.
Problem solved.
Okay, so we're hopping topics to immigration now. Whoever won that last debate, I don't know. You decide. Does anyone want to open on immigration?
Sure, I'll open.
Sure. Why not?
Cannabis corpse and then
rock paper scissors.
No. I'm going to do an argument from authority real quick. I'm actually a paralegal in an immigration law firm.
Go for it. I'm actually interested in this.
All right. So there you go. When it comes to immigration, right, the majority of immigrants attempt to petition for asylum, which we can't really get rid of, right? So what is he actually cut it out so that way you used to be that Cubans initially applied, didn't even need to apply for asylum. They immediately qualified. As long as you touched ground in the U.S., you qualified. He got rid of that. So that's no longer a thing. They also got rid of the whole petitioning for asylum. It now has to be distributed case by case. There's no blanket term. You can't just say, oh, well, I'm from here, so obviously I apply for asylum, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, that's gotten rid of. And I feel as though the immigration is actually going to go down from here. And I'm going to have to find a new line of work because there's not many smelly wetbacks walking into my office going, hey, XD, I don't want to get deported. That's the way my life is going. So next guy.
I've heard a lot of arguments that we should let immigrants in, like illegal or illegal. Did I just say illegal twice? Okay, well, anyways, but like we should let them in. But like the thing is, like some of these Syrian refugees and like Mexican refugees, like they don't necessarily always want to come to our country, though. Like, I mean, sometimes they just come because, I mean, they want money. I mean, but I mean, like, I mean, if you immigrate because you are trying to provide for your family, if you immigrate and then work and don't sit on your ass, I mean, I don't care. Like, hell, dude. I mean, but I mean, if you take my job, I'm gonna be a little disappointed in you for taking my job. But I mean, I'm sure I can get another job because I mean.
Well, this is my opinion personally. If I were to reform immigration, the way that I would reform immigration would be to allow the majority of the immigrants who come in with no record, if they can prove that they have no criminal record in their own country, then they can immediately apply for legal permanent residency status. All right, if they wish to stay, they can apply for legal permanent residency status. All right, and then they're given a 10-year watch period. All right, and within that 10 years, if any criminal activity occurs, they're immediately deported. But after that 10 years, then they can apply for citizenship, and depending from there, the way they act, how much money they make, this, that, and the other thing, then they can actually become a naturalized citizen. If I were to reform it, that's the way I would do it.
Can I reply to that?
Just because, and then crazy.
Okay, so half of that, those last two conversations, I assume we're talking about immigration. Towards this, my point of view is sort of like the last person that just talked. Coming to work, I don't have that much of a problem, but if you come and commit a crime, doesn't matter if you're working or not, legally or not, you should immediately leave. And if you're here illegally to work, a work visa, give them a work visa, and then, but they don't get citizenship. They don't deserve the right. They didn't wait in line like other people or pay money. They don't deserve asylum.
Can I ask you something?
Hold on. Are you done just because?
Yeah.
All right, so crazy, then not your mommy, then economic migrant.
When it comes to immigration, we've stopped asking ourselves or stopped discussing over the fact, why do we need immigration at all? I mean, we have enough people. The fact is, if we do get immigrants in, if they're legal or non-legal, what they'll do is they'll take away jobs that are basically there for the citizens in our country. If we have illegal immigrants coming in, they usually come in because they're economic migrants, basically. They come from Mexico or different parts of the world to come in the country and basically get money to send back to their countries, which is leaving the U.S. then. So basically, my stance on immigration is we should start asking ourselves, why immigration at all? If there are some rocket scientists out there that are the best in the world, I personally do think that we should get them in. I see that from a nationalist point of view. We should get the best people in. It doesn't really matter what ethnic group they belong to. We should just get the best people in. Why do we need other immigrants? They're not helping us. They're helping themselves, and they drive down the wages.
All right. I just want to say, please try and keep your messages concise and not repeat yourself too much, guys. So I think it was not your mommy, and then economic migrant, and then load, aim, and snipe. So go ahead, not your mommy.
Okay. Really unrealistic.
Your mic is really, really quiet.
Right-click them and raise the user volume on your end.
I already did on 200.
Yes.
All right. Hold up. This might fix it. Is it better?
Yeah, it's significantly. We can hear you on 200. Congratulations.
Okay.
I can hear on normal.
All right. This is something. It's a bit of a joke. It's not realistic, but it's the way that I think about it a lot. I talk about this with my mother a lot. It's people that come in here to the U.S. as immigrants. They aren't trying to come here to be useless. In many cases, there are people that come here and they're useless. They sit on their ass, but there are already so many people in the U.S. that are born here that are living off of welfare. They're useless. They pop out kids and they don't work, and they're getting so much money from the government that we're hardworking and we have to pay the government. And it's going to these people who aren't willing to work and make more kids to stay that way. But I I would like to say that immigration is unnecessary because there are some people here that are taking our money that we don't need, but I become a hypocrite in that way because as someone who, I live in Texas, a lot of my friends are Hispanic and a lot of my friends aren't here legally. And it's a real part of this, but the thing is that they aren't useless people. They come here, they work, they go to school, they pay taxes, but they're working toward becoming legal citizens. This is more of a comment toward all of this, but that immigration, but I'm for immigration for people that aren't useless. It's
all right.
very strict.
Wrap it up a little bit, please.
Yeah,
I don't even know what I just
thought,
walked
so you can
in
go
on,
ahead
to
and
be
just
honest.
Ghostly Mal, we're having a queue discussion, so if you want to talk on this subject, then tell me in chat, and I'll try and squeeze you in general too. So, economic migrant, go.
Wait, what?
All right. So hey, Raisu. All right, just mute him then.
Hold on.
He's saying, "Shut up, Ghostly Meow. Shut up."
Hold on. Did you finish Not Your Mommy?
Yeah. I've kind of lost my train of thought, so just go ahead.
All right, either or. Okay. All right, is Raisu in this call? Is that a thing? Yeah, Raisu's down there. All right, Raisu, I know you can hear me. All right, so you were talking about how what I was implying was essentially a visa. All right, now the difference between a visa and a legal permanent resident or anybody who's petitioning to be an actual immigrant, right, is that when you go to apply for a visa, like a travel visa, you have a time period. That time period entails, oh, by this time I'm going to be long and gone out of this, shithole country, so you don't have to worry about me. You know what I mean? Yeah, so a visa only implies like you're going to be there temporarily. But when you apply for legal permanent residency or stuff like that, permanent residency is in the title. It means you're going to stay there. So I was hoping that anyone who wished to stay here can apply for legal permanent residency right off the bat. But legal permanent residency, unlike citizenship, does not allow things like voting, does not allow things like welfare, does not allow things like this and that. And my whole thing was that I wanted a one-strike system with LPRs. If you're an LPR and you get in any sort of trouble, if you get one DUI, if you get one anything, all right, you're gone. You're done.
All right. Is that it?
No. I'm not quite finished.
Okay.
All right. So if an LPR were to do anything and they get deported, there's no argument about it. All right. It's written within the whole agreement that if you do anything wrong, then you're going to leave, guaranteed. Now, after that, they can apply for citizenship, but not all citizenship applications get accepted because there's, believe it or not, an actual limit to how many citizens could be naturalized in a year. So there you go. Now I'm done. Just let it be known that there's actually a limit.
Load, aim, and snipe, and then LT, and then Leo Circops.
I'm going to keep this quick and concise. If a country wants to take in immigrants, I'm fine with it, but I believe that it should be controlled. There should be a set limit on how many immigrants are allowed in, and how many. I lost my train of thought. Yeah, how many are allowed in, and what kind of immigrants that we allow in.
All right, LT, go ahead.
All right, so we're just to clarify, we're talking about immigration as a whole, right?
Yes.
Or okay.
Yes.
So. Standard immigration, legal immigration is really good for the economy. It creates more demand. It doesn't like steal people's jobs. It's fucking they consume far more resources than like what people think they take from like the working man. Regardless of if you dispute that, that's not what I'm here to address. The whole issue around immigration is like illegal immigration. And the reason illegal immigration is bad isn't because it's like this moral thing like, oh, we should let more people in or, oh, we shouldn't let more people in. It's the fact that when they come in illegally, they're not coming in with like social security numbers or like fingerprints in the system. And so like that's a major problem because it's a huge avenue for threats against national security. And you might say like, oh, like a little drug dealing, like that's not really going to hurt a community. And you could argue one way or another for that. But like, when illegal immigration is really easy and we're not doing something to stop it, it gives like larger groups with more nefarious intent, like a greater avenue to approach us. Like it's very easy to get a body in, which means it's very easy to get a bomb into the country. So like by not taking very strong stances and preventative measures against illegal immigration, we're leaving ourselves very vulnerable to like very real threats. Like this isn't like a theory. This is how they get bombs in if they're bringing them in, or how they get illegal things to build the bombs in if that's what they're doing. That's all I got to say.
All right. Leo Sirkops and then economic migrant. Go ahead, Leo Sirkops. All right. Not your mommy. You're kind of giving a little bit of like rubbing noises that are really loud. So if you can try
Please stop deep throating your mic.
Yeah. Economic migrant, go ahead.
All right. So speaking on the ghettoization. All right, ghettoization occurs in every community. Believe it or not. Even in places like rural America, you still have communities that band together. Sometimes it's not even based on race. Sometimes it's just based on geography. There's no way immigration does not directly lead to ghettoization, though it does in fact increase the ability to ghettoize, because as previously stated, most immigrants tend to have a language barrier. Most immigrants tend to have a money barrier. Most immigrants tend to have this sort of community. Right, since they come from a very similar place or they speak a similar language, excluding the larger community, they tend to feel a togetherness that's not really felt anywhere else, and they tend to stick together. And the issue with that is that the majority of them also tend to radicalize. So you can have areas like they stated that there was this group of people out in the middle of the Rockies, and they had radicalized each other based on some God knows what awful premise or whatever. And the whole thing was that they were all hog raisers. So in order to avoid any sort of ghettoization, you have to really look at the actual underlying portions of those communities as well as the community at large. And I think the best way to avoid ghettoization would be to trying to think of, well, I don't know what the best way to fucking avoid ghettoization is, but it's really hard to actually avoid when you get.
Did you stop talking, economic? I think your mic.
Oh no, I'm reading.
Okay, here's how you do it. Musical chairs. That's how you prevent ghettoization.
What else?
I never said that the majority was radicalized. I just said that radicalization can occur in these situations. You have to take things like Banff, for instance. You have to take things like the fucking Church of Scientology, for instance. These people walk into a place and they realize, oh, this is my community. And then that community can mold them based.
When Margaret finishes, I would like.
Go ahead, just because.
Yeah, I'm gone.
As towards BAM and stuff like that and radicalization, I do agree. To some extent, like I'm in Sacramento, California. Here we have Little Saigon, Little Russia, and a couple of other different areas around Sacramento that are suburbs, and primarily when you like some of the best food here in Sacramento, Chinese food and Asian food, for example, is in Little Saigon. But when you go there, I'd say a good 7 out of 10 don't even speak a lick.
All right, you cut out.
And, 7 out of 10 of those people in Little Saigon here don't speak a lick of English. And I'll go in to get some food and have a problem just communicating for what I order. So ghettoization does, as to your point, does happen. And there is a high probability because of that ghettoization that they're going to radicalize. I do understand this, and I do, but you can't stop.
You're cutting out.
Communities.
You're cutting out right now.
Is this better? Is this better?
Yeah.
The it does happen, and it will happen, and you can't stop it. You can't really. You can to an extent, but you can't force anyone to comply if they don't want to. And the older the person is when they come to the United States or any other country, the bigger the problem of them integrating into that society. The harder it is, and the less English that they speak before they come to whatever the predominant language of that country, it gets harder and harder the more factors you add in. And people sticking to their own is going to happen. But for any nation, you need to integrate those people fluidly. If you don't, then it causes 10 times the problems you would have otherwise. And for that point, you need strong immigration and strong laws to be able to prevent these problems. If you don't, it'll spiral out of control one day. Now I'm done.
Anyone left in the queue?
No, I think I was the last.
All right, open floor then. Let's go.
Kill yourself.
Makes sense.
And hold on, to Leo Sircops. Yes, I do agree. I do believe that a stronger requirement for them being able to speak the native language of the country that they're going into should be a big requirement on either they learn that language within, let's give them, depending on the person's age. If they're younger, it shouldn't take them that long to learn the language. If they're older, they should have a little bit more time, but they should have a requirement on how long they have to learn that country's language. And if they don't learn it within that time period, they don't get their permanent citizenship. They have to wait and request another visa to stay and learn the language.
It's permanent residency.
Immersion learning for language is a real thing. Can
I tell you guys something?
Hold on. I think we should start winding down the conversation now. It's been going on for a while.
No. Let me say this real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
All you guys are talking about how there's no language requirement, and there is actually, but there's a lot of loopholes, and I think that if you could close up some of those loopholes, then that would be better. You see, the majority of the way it works when it comes to testing people on their English when they come here is there's a requirement, and that is that if you have some sort of mental deficiency, or if you're too old, stuff like that, then you're not required to learn the language. It's, as long as you can hire an interpreter during your initial whatever quiz. I can't remember. Well, no, I'm not saying that.
I'm speaking. I'm speaking in general. In general, that the only aspect I have to work on is the United States, but I'm speaking in general purposes that every country should have these requirements. I know we do have a certain, and we all, but
Just because you're cutting out again.
Yeah.
I do know that we do have these requirements, as Economic said, and I was talking in general of any country to have these requirements. If a country doesn't have these requirements, then you're not going to have the people coming in adequately integrate into your country, and it needs to stop. Because you don't want to destroy your own language as well as the communities that they're moving into, and possibly the state that they move into, or the province. And for, yes, it'll cost some civil liberties for people coming in, but they're not citizens yet. They're not. Until they become citizens, I do not believe they deserve, at least in the United States, constitutional protections under everything. They deserve basic constitutional protections, but they don't deserve every right that a citizen has. They need to earn the citizenship first, and then they can have all the rights that our citizens are entitled to. But some people want. Sorry.
All right. No.
Hold on.
I'm gonna let you finish it, and then I'm gonna say.
Well, hold on though. I wanted to say I'm gonna stop moderating now. So LT, and just because you're gonna have to take that on.
Okay.
Yeah, cheers, I got. Or you haven't. I don't care.
All right.
Since I'm talking right now, you handle the moderation for a little bit.
Sure. All right.
And cut me off when you're ready to cut me off.
You're cut off.
Direct loser.
I do believe that we need strict laws on and requirements on this stuff, because people won't integrate if you don't force them to integrate, and if you pull the rug out from under them, you're going to cause a little more problems. But if they're over here on a visa while trying to get their permanent residency, that's fine. But if you don't learn the language of the country, whatever the loopholes are, they should be closed no matter what. And people forced to know the language before they're even approved for full citizenship. And that's pretty much it.
All right. I'd just like to say,
except for the niggers.
All right. No. All memes aside, like you're dipping into real dangerous territory, implying something like that. Because then you have to remember where, like, if you demand that certain people can't speak a certain language, right? You're taking away their freedom of speech.
I'm not saying they can't speak their own language.
That comes with the assumption that they're protected under the freedom of speech, like that they have constitutional right.
All right, so you don't seem to realize that even non-immigrants, like even people who are here illegally, have constitutional rights. Constitutional rights don't stop at citizenship. You know, unalienable rights, deemed self-evident.
I'm familiar.
That means that everybody who's here has them.
Okay, so if that's the case, then you're comfortable with illegal immigrants buying firearms, right?
Well,
because that's the same inalienable right, right?
That is the same
inalienable right. But then but then you're having the same issue. All right, they'd have to follow the state-sanctioned law based on that. See what I mean?
If they're illegal, they don't have a social security card that they can use to like buy against or maintain a record of.
Follow through. So that law doesn't make any sense.
Okay, but that's an inalienable right that you just said is okay to retract because they can't follow the conditions you've set forth. These are just propositions for new conditions, right?
No, they're not new conditions. All right,
his proposition is a new condition, right?
His proposition is a new condition, but a new condition that cannot be followed through or held in the court of law as any sort of constitutional. All right, there will be nobody who can follow through that.
Yes, okay. Hey man, I'm not trying to bring you down. I was just bringing that up.
I'm not saying it isn't.
Well, I'm not well versed in constitutional law. You are probably far more versed in it than I am. I'm just voicing my point of view. My point of view.
I know.
I just personally disagree with anyone not being able to speak their country's or the country they're coming into's language sufficiently. Like if I move to France, I get a visa to go to France, and I live there for, let's say, 3 years, and I can't speak a lick of French, France has the full right and capability to kick my ass out and send me right back to the United States because I didn't follow their law of learning English sufficiently to be able to integrate into their society.
I get that.
And what about people who just stay on base? Like American bases and stuff like that?
American bases, well, in my point of view, that's kind of different because everyone on the base is speaking English. Yes, they're in a different country. They're there sanctioned by either that country's government.
You have to remember, bases are considered like embassies.
Yeah.
Right.
No,
bases are U.S. soil.
Hang on, I'm an expert in this. It's not an embassy. It's considered sovereign soil. Like a child born on a base is a citizen.
Right.
It's not like an embassy.
It's actually sovereign.
All
U.S. It's American soil.
U.S. bases in foreign countries are U.S. soil. If they're bombed, they are considered a terrorist act against the United States. No matter what,
Right.
it is sovereign, protected soil.
Right. It's just you meet a lot of Navy people who don't.
No, but
have
I thought embassies were sovereign as well.
They are.
Yeah, but for different reasons. It's not the same sort of like sovereignty.
If you are born in an embassy, you do get citizenship, but it's. I'm not really versed on it, but it's less. It's more controversial. If you understand.
No, okay, so like the difference being like they're granted that property, right, as a result of like international or foreign relations, right? Whereas like bases are the result of a status of forces agreement, which is like a guarantee of right. So it's like
a right of conquest.
Well, kind of. I mean, like, so status of forces agreement are different than like the agreement to have an embassy. It's like just what's the word? It's just a legality, but it's like different in severity. I don't have a good way to explain it. It's not something that can be retracted as easily as like if foreign relations with another country suffer, they can say, all right, fuck your embassy, right? You get the fuck out. You've got 10 days to get the fuck out. Goodbye, right? Whereas like an American base, which is a result of a status of forces agreement, like can't be retracted so easily. There's more guarantees. It's not really.
LT's probably more versed in this than I am, but as far as I know, all of our status of forces agreements are good for anywhere up, no less than like 50 years, 50 to 100 years. We have that land leased off to us, and it's our sovereign property for almost 100 years. They cannot take it away without a massive penalty or of breaking the contract that allowed us to create that base in the first place.
The massive penalty is usually just like an embargo and a sanction.
Yeah, but it's still a penalty. And I don't know all the penalties that could be there, but the country trying to cut off that status of forces agreement does incur a massive penalty for doing so because they're breaking a contract of a lease, giving us that territory as sovereign property for a term limit of whatever, so that we and the people living in that base do not follow under the jurisdiction of the country that's there. They follow under the base's jurisdiction and the country they came from.
I'm gonna be real, Just. You fucking lost me like halfway into that. I have no idea what you're talking about.
He's talking about how the base itself, while even though it's technically sovereign, the base sort of governs itself. At least that's what I got out of it.
No. I'm saying that land previously, before the status of forces agreement, was, let's use Japan as an example right now. The territory in Okinawa that they gave us as sovereign, as a status agreement, territory, incur a massive penalty for doing so, and we may be forced to leave, or we may be able to fight them in the court of law and hold on to that land for a longer period of time. As LT had said, everyone born on that property is still a U.S. citizen. anyone coming onto that property that is not a U.S. citizen is sanctioned to U.S. law, not Japanese law. That's what I was meaning.
I got you now.
Same.
All right.
So back on the
just
topic
because
of
of,
integration, what do you guys think?
if you want to keep modding, you can. I'm more comfortable with like leaving it to open discussion now because we've been kind of like regimented for the last like 8 hours today.
Yeah, I'm fine with open discussion. I'm going to be leaving in the next 20 minutes anyways to go play Magic, but I love this conversation.
Then I'm gonna call an adjournment to this style of discussion then, so feel free to chime in, guys. I mean, preferably keep it civil, and yeah, it's good. Good job, everybody.
That was fun.
Did I
16 hours or so?
Yeah.
Did I enter an agreement that I didn't know about?
Yeah, you did. You've signed away all of your rights. Welcome to slavery, kiddo.
Damn.
All your rights are belong to us.
Okay, so since my topic never got selected, which is I'm disappointed at, but I'll give you a snippet of what I was gonna say. Nuke all those extraterrestrials from high orbit. That's all I'm gonna say.
Didn't see that coming.
So on the topic of radicalization, how do you guys feel about like internet culture and how that plays into that?
Internet culture is really radicalized. The only way we can stop internet culture from pervasing our
censorship.
Yeah, pure 100% censorship. It's the only way.
Which is an absolute reduction in freedom of speech. So against
internet culture as far as what topic?
Stop those Kekistanis.
Yeah, the fucking Kekistanis trying to fight for the freedom and shit.
Hey. Don't talk about my country like that.
Just
fucking losers. You're worse than the Armenians.
Ahead of time before I leave. If anyone wants to have a discussion about any topic that we didn't discuss today, message me and add me as a friend on Discord. And if we can't have the conversation here tomorrow or in the next few days, I'll send you my Discord link and we try and have the conversation in my Discord, and I'll stream it.
For my personal preference, I prefer to have it here because I want to hear you guys. I want you guys to hear my viewpoint because I think it's going to be hilarious.
I will drag in as many people as I can into my Discord so that we have this. In my point of view, at least on this, if we can't have it here, let's say all the channels are taken and people are talking in every channel, we could have the Discord with all the people that want to have the discussion, stream it on Twitch or YouTube or yada yada. That way, the people here can also listen in on the conversation, can give the input on Discord or YouTube in chat, and also play a role in it. But people popping in and out of the channel, disrupting the conversation, would be less likely.
I mean, technically,
I still want to hear people's opinions on what kind of effects or how much
it didn't bug me that much
memes have on the current political climate. So
memes.
I'd like to have a conversation about the validity of ethno-states, because a lot of people believe in those. They're kind of stupid.
Yeah,
I mean,
I don't really have a formed opinion on it. It sounds like Garbo to TVH.
And
the only thing I think about ethno-states is that if you have like a country that like it's yours heretically, like if you like for the U.S. it doesn't make any sense because we all came India from Europe.
Now I'm going to answer a question that I was posed by Heroic. I apologize for interrupting. I just saw it. Heroic. No, I don't think we should open our arms to illegal immigrants. Illegal in their home country. We shouldn't give them visa rights. If they commit a crime, they should be sent home. But to an extent, we can't just kick out people that are legitimately working in at least the United States. And every other country can have their own restrictions. But in the United States, my personal belief is if you're not jumping the border and coming here illegally is a crime. But if you're working here and following every other law and at least trying to become a citizen or get a work visa to stay, I don't think you should be kicked out as quickly. The ones we should more worry about are the ones committing crimes, killing people, raping people, and doing things like that, and tax evasion and shit like other stuff, rather than just boot every last illegal out, because that will have a detrimental effect to our economy. It should eventually maybe kick everybody out who's illegal if they're not working for a citizenship or a visa. But if someone just jumps the border for work, in my opinion, it's not as bad as you jumping the border, selling drugs here, and killing people because they don't agree with you. That's my personal.
All right, let's use that as your closing statement on that.
I was just trying to answer his question.
Yeah. I don't want us to regress, though.
If I can add on to that, though.
You guys can talk freely.
Okay.
Yeah.
But, Dal, so yeah, with people who just jump the border illegally and work, I mean, even then, because they are not an actual citizen and whatnot, they don't have, like, that money gets paid under the table.
So no matter what, they're always committing tax evasion.
Yeah, basically they're not paying taxes, which is the problem that I have.
A hard crime in my point. A harder crime
Except
than
if they
just
steal someone's
that.
identity.
I think what he's trying to say is the focus should be on legalizing these immigrants who aren't committing any other hard crimes.
Yes, they need,
and are only committing crimes that are required for them to live in this country, such as, tax evasion. We should legalize them rather than spend that money trying to deport them as long as they committed no other crimes.
I wouldn't say legalize tax evasion. I would say get them documented and paying taxes.
Find them,
and legalize them so they don't have to tax.
Essentially, the problem is you either make your border restrictions lighter so that people can just move here willy-nilly, or you just, which makes them basically, that puts them in the record, makes it so they pay taxes and shit.
Yeah.
But if you do that, you also get like Mexican ghettos and shit.
Yeah, but in my point of view, we have to stop the border jumping. We have to stop the border jumping and then fix the immigration laws that we do have for them to legally come here. Once we do that, we can legalize everyone that's here and find them and go, hey, we won't deport you, but you got to start paying tax, not just sales tax, which buying anything here like food or lumber or what, you're paying sales tax. So you're paying a tax, but you need to come in, you need to get documented, you need to apply for a visa or permanent citizenship. If you do that stuff and you get everything into our system and start paying your taxes regularly, and we can garnish your paychecks for past owed taxes. I'm fine with doing something like that for people already here, but we need to, at least in the United States, close our border, secure our southern border and our northern border, and prevent more people from jumping the border and coming in, and then fix our immigration so more people can come legally rather than jumping the border.
I disagree with that because the only reason that illegal immigration works and people make money working illegally is because they take lower wages than the people in America that have tax numbers that do pay their taxes to. So if you do make them illegally, you're basically making the market, you're breaking the market for people selling their work legally with taxes, because you're going to have a shit ton of people basically offering the same job for the same price, and that's not really going to fix the problem.
Here's what I think. We should eliminate regulations for small businesses.
Completely?
Yeah. Pretty much. If you only have like one small building, then you're not like polluting the environment or anything. I mean, I guess for like the food industry, maybe there's an argument there, but otherwise, fuck it.
Give me some examples.
People have below minimum wage.
Did you
I'd
just
even
say
go
we
further
should
and say also
eliminate small businesses?
No, regulations.
Regulations.
Yeah.
Get rid of all the regulations.
Holy shit!
Although
massively
if you
misheard
deal
that.
with any kind of food, beverage,
Mm-hmm.
any chemical that's consumed or used by people, still keep the fucking regulations.
Anything that doesn't have to do with food or gas or cost of living,
it's like gardeners,
electricity,
construction. Those can go to anyone who needs a fucking job.
Right. So, what?
Go ahead.
Sorry, I apologize. So I guess I'm just if you have any examples, exact regulations that you think would apply to them, because the first ones that come to my mind come to like food. So if we're not talking about those, what else would?
Well, hold on.
I'm out of here. I will see you guys later.
Air pollution, restrictions on using money on the Wall Street, and a whole bunch of other stuff. So what I see about regulations, let me just say
basically for small businesses, you need like a team of lawyers to figure out the regulations, and that's just bullshit.
And you need new staff to be able to do the regulations. The big companies, they don't have a problem with hiring 5 new people to be able to do all the regulations, the new ones. But small companies can't do that. And I'd even go further and say you need to get rid of the regulations that aren't saving lives or preventing people from getting food poisoning or something, even for big companies. Because if we live in a capitalist society, basically we determine which company survives and which company doesn't survive.
Right.
And if you don't like that some energy company is polluting the air and everything's fucked up in your country and you can't breathe without fucking coughing your ass off, then you're not going to buy energy from this company. You're going to buy energy from the other company producing their energy in different ways where they don't pollute the air. So basically
that's interesting and it's great, but like when you're dealing with meta-generational issues, it doesn't work very well, because if the damage is done over the course of one generation that lasts multiple generations, it doesn't matter how the fucking society treats it then, because the damage is already long done by the time you catch up. That's
how many people actually pay attention to that?
Yeah, that's the problem. That's the whole idea of it. That's why people protest it. It's not because necessarily they're like anti-capitalist or anti-small business or anti-regulation or anti-regulation. It's just like fucking the DDT spraying. Like it's impossible to how far that genetic mutation still effects from it.
Can I speak?
And that was in like what, the 50s?
Pretty patiently. Can I make my point now, please?
Sure, bud.
Sorry to interrupt, but
you haven't waited long enough.
Fuck off. So, I just wanted to clarify. Are you saying remove all regulations from small businesses, excluding things like food companies and stuff?
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, the problem I see with that is, for example, a toy company, they have a lot of regulations in place to make sure that their toys aren't harmful to children, and so that children won't, for example, choke on something or cut themselves on something because the toy has sharp edges. You'd still need regulations like that on small companies, because you can't just let them make dangerous toys, for example.
If you own a toy company, you know that the chemicals that you're using in your plastic is harmful to children, and you want your company to survive.
Well, that would be in the realm of like a big company. That's a big business. So if you have like a small business, it's like one guy making toys. Is that really
honestly,
much of a
you
problem?
can just Control Z your fucking company and then move somewhere else.
The smaller the company is, the easier it is to manage all your stuff. So if it's a one-man person doing toys, then he's going to know what he's using there, and if he doesn't, then he's going to go bankrupt within a day.
Sure, he knows
what he's using. What if he doesn't care about what he's using because he's trying to make the bottom line?
And then fucking he gets run out of town
because he's if you said he doesn't care what he's using because then you put him in fucking prison if he.
Well, but if there are no regulations,
no, man, no, because there's a perfect example of that with farmers using pesticides. It's like they know certain pesticides aren't the best. The research is still out, but there's a lot of social pressure to stop. i.e., expecting the economy to self-regulate because people know it's bad, but they can't stop using the pesticides because they're too poor to afford the amount of area coverage for more expensive, healthier, safer pesticides. Like fucking, how do you explain that then if the market is going to purely regulate it? You need the regulation.
Knowledgeably sell something that is poisonous. You should go to prison for that.
Well,
that's
yes,
there
are no regulations.
Regulation,
There's
though.
no regulations. First of all, there's no regulations to catch that, so nobody's checking for that. And second of all, there's no regulations, so he's not going to be punished because he's not held to any standards. He's not regulated.
Let me make this comment on that idea.
In the face, that's
I mean, I'm not opposed to like
yeah, but walking up to you and shooting you in the
everybody's
face
talking over each other.
Be quiet. Listen, walking up and shooting you in the face is way more direct than the effects we're talking about, bud. You're definitely oversimplifying the issue at hand.
Poisonous in a product where you know people are going to get poisoned from is basically the same thing as if I come punch you in the face. And it should be not.
Aren't you fucking going out and protesting against cigarette?
Because people are.
Mate, son, stay speechless.
On the idea of toy makers, like small business toy makers. Okay, you get a toy maker. He's now using cocaine to stuff the dolls. There's no regulations.
Aside from like drug laws, yeah.
I mean, that's all right. Go ahead.
I mean, it's still illegal to have like cocaine. That's just like an individual thing.
So here's the thing, and this is what I think like everybody's trying to say. All regulations are I'm not saying that word right. It is basically holding people to accountable to things like poisoning people, like regulations on food, not allowing bacteria and all that kind of stuff. If anybody here has a food handler's card, that kind of that. Like there are extended regulations that can be removed that are just completely ridiculous. But there are certain regulations, such as not allowing a toy company to sell something that has ridiculously terrible things in it for children if they put it in their mouth. That is a regulation. Yeah,
so we need regulations to make sure that people aren't putting poison in children. Well,
I guess I can shorten that
people. That's
idea down.
You don't need regulations.
To say,
essentially, what I want is for the regulations to be simple enough for a person to understand without a team of fucking lawyers.
Oh yeah, I can see that. But it's not the same thing as removing all regulations. So, I think that's where everybody had their point of contention.
I mean, I don't think that idea is realistic, though.
The original idea that people were kind of disagreeing with was eliminating all regulations for small businesses. But what it's evolved into is like going lighter on the regulations for small businesses.
Yes, that's how conversations work.
Yep, we're following.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm just condensing that down to one simple statement.
Okay.
That simplicity, the desire for simplicity in like legal jargon, like anybody can get behind holistic. All right, and I'm going to give you a very simple example of like how. Yeah. Well, no, okay. So law is a government extension of morality. Okay, it's saying certain things are wrong. Like we all agree, killing is wrong, right? I know nobody's going to actually agree because we're all edgelords here. That's cool. But I mean, killing is wrong and you guys know it. All right.
Well, no,
so,
to be fair, the government condones killing of certain individuals.
Okay. But so here's the reason. The reason why you can't simplify legal jargon is the same reason why people thought it was okay to beat up Trump voters. Right. It's like, like you can all day say like, yeah, we want a simpler legal system, but we don't like the idiot masses, which are like very different than the people who make the regulation and who actually write it and understand it, like have trouble grasping that you're not allowed to hit someone else when you're mad. Like, does that make sense?
It's
okay
to punch a Nazi, right?
Well, basically,
you're never going to be able to simplify it to a point where idiots are going to understand it. And this is from like the founding fathers. Like the idiot masses need management.
That's why we're a republic.
There are just too many different forms of commerce for general laws.
Yeah, there's also loopholes.
There's just too much business for general laws. It just won't work.
Yeah. Also, a lot of it comes down to people being able to manipulate. If something doesn't cover one thing or something isn't nuanced, then you can get around certain things. That's the reason why they're worded the way they are, to not allow to cover all of the bases. They might be confusing, but they disallow, and they're supposed to disallow for people to take something and say, oh, but if I do it this way, I won't actually get in trouble for it. And that's where a lot of like the taxation loopholes and a lot of these different things are like coming to light right now, and everybody's freaking out over them.
Good talk. No, it's not, I mean, it's not you. I feel like everybody was pretty much done saying their point. You're not being singled out or anything.
Regulation means I don't get poisoned, and I'm quite happy about that. So I think that's more or less. That's more or less.
But there are active laws that state if someone harms you purposely by poisoning you, that he's a crook and he should be punished. We don't need regulations for that.
But I mean, that's the thing, because these people can be doing it unwittingly because they're not doing the test. So that's why these exist. But no, it's an open and shut topic as far as I'm concerned.
Well, then they risk getting punished, maybe putting in prison.
I think the
regulations are law. There's no separation where it's like a regulation is like different than a law. They're just laws. Like
I know.
Just because they're economic laws doesn't mean that they don't protect some kind of extension of harm happening to you or to a group of people. That's like the idea.
Yeah, but they're simpler.
The reason I think that regulations don't really matter for small businesses is that it's like that small business owner probably like doesn't know the law, or they go out of business if they don't follow it. Like,
so let me give you
would probably not get noticed until like
let me give you a really
something
good
went
example
wrong.
of this. I am a small to medium sized business owner. I actually work in the instrument branch, and there's a new law put in place 2017, which regulates the import of Indian rosewood. Generally, basically every rosewood. That's the type of wood. And so the way I get my instruments is there is a manufacturer that buys it from a company that sells wood. The manufacturer makes instruments out of that, sells it to a distributor, and the distributor sells it to me. And I basically have to keep book of all the different types of wood. And rosewood is just a big word for like 2,000 different types of rosewood. So basically, I have to get certificates for everything. I have to document everything. And if I get a piece of wood, which actually happens because we also make instruments from these, like we buy wood to make instruments. If we take 1 kilogram of wood and we use 999 grams and we have 1 gram left over, that has to be documented. And if that one documented and stored differently than the other pieces, we can get a fine up to 15,000 euros.
Well, there is the argument to be made that excessive regulations destroy small businesses and protect large ones, like in the EU.
That's a very good example of it, because bigger businesses have the capacities or just hire new staff that just do that all day. I personally can't do that. I wouldn't want to do that.
Yeah, but this is a big reason I'm anti-EU.
And that regulation was put in place to save trees that are halfway around the whole world. Basically, if you want to save those trees, go over to that government and tell them that they're not allowed to export those trees. And if they don't listen, put some
boycott that wood.
Well, they actually usually they usually are doing that. It's like, so not every approach is like that simple, and usually it's like a two-sided approach, because like, okay, a government can make we can make bank robbing illegal, but there's still a market for bank robbing, right? So by also keeping like small businesses from accepting stolen money, let's say as an example, right, we're removing the market for the poachers. It's like a counterintelligence move. You're removing the motive, so you're ostensibly reducing the crime. So by outlawing it in country, which is usually what happens, like in the instance of the Indian rosewood, I'm assuming, right, that country would probably outlaw the harvesting of it. They can't stop all the poachers, so other countries won't buy it. So you're taking like a two-sided approach. You understand? It's not just like a convenient way for corporations to step around like trade embargoes or whatever, or sanctions.
But yeah,
it's kind of like would also get some. Go ahead.
No, you probably have a better point than me. Go ahead.
See, what also is just really hard to grasp for me is that there is a wood dealer, a manufacturer, a distributor, 3 people, 3 big companies in between the wood and me. And I personally have all these regulations I have to care about. It just makes everything like really, really fucking complicated and annoying. It's a lot. It costs a lot of money doing that.
Everybody between the wood and you isn't subject to those regulations. Like
that's not usually true.
Well,
they are.
I'm saying
So
for the
everybody has
purpose.
this.
Say they're a multinational, right? So they're likely they are if they're hooking up the wood dealer, the manufacturer, and some guy in India that creates Indian wood, right? That's my point. Is it like they may be like maybe the closest portion to you is operating with those regulations, but they're gonna pass as much of that down the line towards the consumer as they can, and like that's of course they are.
A sawmill is always going to be a far larger operation than the supplier.
Mm-hmm.
They just have more money coming in. They have more. They have more staff. They have more people with. They have more people with hands on the product. The point is that regulation, when taken to an extreme, makes it enormously difficult for small scale competitors to enter into the market with their larger counterparts.
And when reducing it to the extreme.
Obviously it's about finding a middle ground, but as I said, I think you do have to be careful about instances like in the EU where it's used as a anti-competitive strategy.
Which, and like, actually, this is like a really interesting topic because like the solution to that is removing like the gross power of mass amounts of like lobbyists and like a lot of other free speech issues with like funding to politicians and like sponsoring and gifts and PACs, which is like a whole nother beehive in and of itself. But just like dealing with the lobbyist issue is like a major free speech thing. Like if you really think about it. What's that?
To this day, no American has ever been able to explain to me why lobbying is a thing.
Well, it's because
we decided we wanted bribery to be legal, and then we just came up with a way to make that
No,
happen.
we didn't decide we wanted bribery to be illegal, dog. Quit assuming the worst in people. It's because we ruled that spending money is free speech. Okay, so if you want to spend money and have someone go talk for you, that's protected under free speech. And so it's like this is one of those situations where no matter what you do, you're throwing the baby out with the bathwater. You know, if you outlaw lobbyists, you outlaw anyone who would accept money to speak on someone else's behalf, right? It's really a fucking bee's nest, and I've been thinking about this for a while.
Do that for political figures. Influence political figures and civil servants are such a small minority of the situation. Keep in mind that your civil servants, like people in the army, already give up civil liberties anyway. It really would not be that hard to make an exception for the tiny amount of people.
Lobbyists aren't civil servants. They're usually like private lawyers.
Paying are.
Yeah, but okay, no. So if you limit
to regulate where they took their sources of where they took their sources of income, it really wouldn't. And I know that they usually do it through roundabout areas, but a country like America, that sort of stuff is fixable. That sort of stuff is find outable. We know people do find out about it, so therefore it shouldn't be impossible to take in penal measures.
I mean, it's pretty rare. You don't get direct deposits of money. Like when people talk about political bribery, it's not like an actual changing hands of money. It's usually like
it has to be quid pro quo.
Yeah, exactly. So
something for something.
Yeah,
people lobbying groups commonly donate to.
It wouldn't be impossible to put a penalty against that. It really wouldn't.
Yeah, but then you're limiting the free speech of an individual, which corporations have been ruled as, which means it applies to individual citizens. That's the problem.
What do you do with civil servants anyway?
I got to turn you up. I can hardly hear you.
You already do it with your army. You already do it with your judges. You already do it with all sorts of things. Why should politicians be any different?
Because it's understood that they're enduring an amount of stress and being compensated for it. The American people, but see, they're voluntarily giving up that right. Okay. But you can't force people to alienate that right under duress, which is what you would be doing. What?
And are your politicians not being paid for the stress they
Okay, if you don't pay the politicians, they sell national secrets to people who are willing to pay the money.
Okay, so in which case they go to treason, in which case you fucking lock them up.
If you ever find out about it.
Well, then, of course, these people should be subject to an enormous degree of scrutiny. Of course they should be subject to scrutiny. They're politicians. They're the people who are making the decisions that affect your nation.
I think the complexity and the amount of information that's withheld from the public is like far too immense to expect just public scrutiny to be able to solve. And such is the case now.
But of course, no, you won't get it 100%. But much the same as laws and, like, say, if you steal something, you'll do 2 years in prison or whatever. If you steal a packet of sweets or whatever, that's an extreme example, but whatever. Much the same as that reduces the amount it happens. Putting penalties against it would reduce the amount it happens as well, which would be better. So
there are penalties against accepting bribes.
Just because it's not 100% acceptable, it wouldn't be 100% perfect. Doesn't mean that you couldn't solve it.
When anyone pays a politician, no, lobbying is no. Okay, so a lobbyist is like a lawyer. It's usually a lawyer, okay, but it could be you if you accepted money to do it. It's a person who goes and like stands outside the Capitol and fucking like tries to talk to politicians. Now, if they know people or they're representatives of companies, they're more likely to get into private functions that are like exclusive, which isn't like a behind closed doors sort of thing. It's just more like, are you a major contributor to the Cancer Research Society? Oh, you are? Well, then you're invited. You know, if you're not, we really don't want you here because this is a night about cancer research. And it gives people the opportunity to talk, which like,
essentially anyone can be a lobbyist, but some people get paid for it.
No, they don't receive any money. If they did, they would immediately be removed from office, dog.
Okay. Except for it is extremely common for corporations to donate to the campaigns of people, the same people that
actually there's none donating to PACs and super, which is like the boon of corruption.
Those are campaigns.
No, they're not. They're not campaigns.
In effect, come on.
No, in effect, they're not, dog. Like they don't go to a specific person. They go to a party. They go to a party, dog. And just because the result is that they give to a person
or a selection of people, they use the money given to them to create political media with the intention of re-electing those people. Man,
yes, that's an expression of free speech. That's an expression of free speech, and it's totally protected. Like what? Okay, the PACs exist as a buffer between. Like PACs are, in essence, good. They act as a buffer, a receipt of money that doesn't directly affect a politician. Which, yes, it does give them total deniability in being affected by a company, but it also does give them a cushion from being affected by a company. Now, whether or not that's actually the case is debatable, but like the fact that you can't just give money straight to a politician is a good thing. Like you see that, right?
It seems absurd that you're so worried about the civil liberties of very few people in.
It's because it sets a precedent for all people, dude. Like I'm not for dirty games, but like it sets a precedent for every citizen.
Does it?
In order to preserve your entire democratic
in this particular
hold up.
I can't hear anything.
Bearing in mind these people would be optionally putting away those rights when they became a politician. They did it by choice.
Some of their rights are already
subvert your entire democratic process for an extreme minority of people.
What?
It's still, yes, I understand that, but it's still very much and is proven to affect the way that legislation is passed, what's going on, and who has a better chance.
Yeah, but you can't. No. It doesn't. There's no proven effect. Okay, so I deny your statement that it's been proven that it affects it. One, and I assert that it does not.
Have to prove it, do you? You just have to stop it happening.
Well, you would have to prove it.
Look, we know it obviously has an effect. Otherwise, people wouldn't do it. You're absolutely right.
No, we don't know it absolutely has an effect. That's the point. We all believe that it has a point and that it has an effect, but we can't prove it does.
Well, honestly, who can ever tell in any decision-making process what it was that ultimately made them make a decision?
That's the idea. That's the idea behind setting legal precedent. And that's why you have to be very careful when you change laws, because the legal precedent down the line can be very harmful to many people.
That is completely off topic. Yeah. What I put into place to do that? Well, first of all, I put more regulation in terms of the system of how people were allowed to campaign, how people could go about it, what sort of people could talk to, who they could get work for, and where they could benefit. In terms of campaigns and stuff, I think the fact that if you're going to have parties, and the fact that more people can spend more money on the way it's currently set up means that very few people or very few parties can eventually get heard, and a good portion of the money comes from people who support those interests and who are trying to get that sort of thing and the other, and it's all just supporting the two-party system that you have. So I really think it means less people are getting heard. I really think it means that the democratic process is being subverted, because we know, well, okay, you can dispute that, no, you can't definitely know for sure that it has an effect, but we can make a pretty shrewd guess that it does, otherwise it wouldn't be happening.
What happens in history? What happens in history when people make pretty shrewd guesses about things they're pretty sure are the case, right?
Look,
a few times you get really good outcomes, right? But then let's look at, like, I don't know, the witch trials, right? We have pretty good guesses that they were witches, right?
No. Are you looking for me to prove the chemical strain of things which made that process happen? Because that's what you're asking for. You're asking for.
I'm not asking you to prove the absence of free will. That's not the case. I'm asking you to prove beyond a reasonable doubt.
Well, exactly. So how else would you do it without going through, okay, this is a person I met here who was paid to be here, who was and that ultimately led to the decision.
Yes, that's exactly what I'm asking you to prove. Or prove.
Or
prove
a stupid thing to be asking
that the system creates a situation that causes that.
This is beyond.
This is why people get paid to be lawyers.
This is stupid.
Well, okay.
Yeah, it is.
All right,
Yeah,
let's drop the conversation, because we're
and talking in circles.
We're not going to come to.
I think you guys have just discovered, like, the bulk of legal dissertation in politics. Welcome to the party.
Nothing's black and white. Everything's gray.
While we're between things, any of you guys play PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds?
No.
I wish.
Damn it.
I don't play meme games. Sorry.
Meme games?
It's a meme? I didn't know what it meant.
It's a game that people are going to hop off of in a month when all the fucking streamers stop playing it. So
I sure fucking hope not. It's fun as hell.
I don't know. I mean, it's the guy who created it is pretty dope, and
I'm gonna go cook a steak. I'll be back in a bit.
All right.
And the guy who it's also proven with H1Z1 that it creates a really good repetitive type gameplay, rather than it just being but simply you just jump on and it's like a Call of Duty match where you jump on, you're like, all right, 5 minutes, I'm done. Whatever.
The problem is the next H1Z1 or the next PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds is going to come out in a month or two, and then people are going to go, "This game is better," or H1Z1 is going to be patched, and then they're going to hop back onto H1Z1. Basically,
this game is
is
very different from H1Z and all of the other Battle Royale games.
Sure, but the streamers are gonna find a newer game that gives them more clicks.
No doubt,
and
the streamers will
switch
fuck
that
off.
one, which means the community will switch that game.
The big streamers are paid
Don't die,
for those new games to give them publicity.
Right. But here's the thing. The game has a little bit more of an emotional connection for a few people because it's not just the new game that's out. No, this guy is the original guy who created the mod for was it H1Z1? He's also been in a lot of other projects. He's known by that community, and they like
a
him.
mod for a different game, and then it became H1Z1.
But it doesn't.
It was DayZ for Armatsuko.
Your namesake matters for very little as far as retaining a player base goes. Like it'll work for milking money out of a player base, but as far as retaining one, once people find the new shiny thing, they're gonna forget all about, this guy was the original modder who created this game mode. They're not gonna care about that.
But unless he keeps up with it and keeps the thing fresh, constantly updating it, listening to the community, and proving that he's better at what he does than somebody else. That's what the whole market is about.
That's the problem,
can happen. But hold on, that can happen. But I feel like just writing something off is just being like, oh yeah, this is just the next game. It just feels a little like you're. I don't know. You're just being dismissive, and you're not really.
Well, I am being dismissive.
And there is a lot of player base retention because a lot of people I've heard playing PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds specifically have said it's because this is the guy who made the original thing and H1Z1. And
sure, that's the reason they originally start playing, or that's the reason they say they originally start playing. But I don't think that's going to matter when the next Battle Royale game comes out and it looks better and all the streamers jump to it because it has more clickbait potential because it's newer and then their communities jump to it. Like, I'm speaking from my experience with video games. I've seen this happen to many, many video games, and each one has shown more potential than the last, and it still happened.
Well, hold on. All right. Let's take a good case study, which would be the two games, League of Legends and Dota 2, right? Right? Those still have huge ass player bases. You know how many other versions of those games, newer versions that come out that look prettier? Those are still pretty. Those are old games. Like League of Legends is a very old game.
League of Legends got very lucky, in my opinion, which is why it's still around, in that it quickly gained an audience. It basically was around during the MOBA spike, and it was one of the only MOBAs around during the MOBA spike. It's like why World of Warcraft is so popular. It was one of the first MMOs of its kind, so the more people played, and it just ballooned. So that's my explanation for League of Legends. And Dota 2, it's made by Blizzard. Anything they make,
it's
probably
not made by
successful.
Blizzard.
Oh,
no, it's a mod. It's a mod.
But yeah, essentially those games have high skill ceiling, so it's kind of an exception.
It's published by
Valve's company is based on the fact that they leached off.
Valve.
I'm sorry. More successful.
I'm sorry,
Valve.
Valve
2 was a mod.
No problem. But
Dota was a mod, and they made them their own games.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so Valve, they have a game, any game.
I think
you're something though, real quick.
This is a different game than you think it is. I think you're going to be surprised.
World of Warcraft, by no means, was one of the first MMOs. I mean, you had EverQuest. Of its kind, you still had EverQuest quest.
Yeah, every quest was basically the same game.
Let's
RuneScape, man.
RuneScape is not.
You had other MMO
back in the
fantasy
days when
MMOs
RuneScape
like
was
that.
still RuneScape.
Was EverQuest using 3D graphics?
Yeah.
All right.
EverQuest was great.
And at the same time as World of Warcraft, I specifically remember another game called Dark Age of Camelot, which was more on the historical, mythological side of things. Granted, it's pretty much died off, and yes, World of Warcraft is still up there, but that's because the whole fantasy thing draws in more of the younger crowd. It's more of a kind of cartoony thing.
Oh, younger crowd. Okay.
Younger, yes. Whereas that crowd isn't going to be as interested and wasn't as interested as the historical, mythological side of things that Dark Age of Camelot had, and that's pretty much why that game kind of died out.
I mean, I'd make the argument that DAOC probably died out because of its user interface more than anything, but I'll give that to you.
One?
Okay. Dark Age of Camelot?
What the hell is going on? Anybody else hearing a small voice?
Yeah, I don't know what the fuck that
very
is.
briefly.
Okay. It's like a squirrel.
It's Renak.
Oh, fucking weird tree.
Oh, there you go.
Bring that mic back to GameStop. I think it's broken.
Anyways,
fuck it.
I mean, I just see PUBG as another streamer game, and I think once the stream hype dies down, they're just going to jump onto another Battle Royale.
I will say, yeah, the climate has definitely changed. Damn.
Fuck, I'm sorry.
Hello.
Drink some water. My gosh. Is it scarce? So.
Good day.
Oh, we're good. How about you?
Swimmingly.
We're having a discussion about video games.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, great. I'm a game developer. What do you want?
Why is PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds going to survive where all of the other similar games have...
Yeah, we're talking about the expected lifespan of PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds. I'm of the opinion that it's going to die once the streamer bandwagon hops off of it and hops onto the next shiny new Battle Royale game. And apparently some people disagree with me, so that's fun.
Depends. It's about, developers need to keep interest in the game, so if they're smart, they'll be having another step beyond what the streamers will be doing. So once the streamers hop off, if they hop off, well, the developers will have to pick up interest some other way. Then again, streamers in any given game there's usually a sub portion of them that stay with that game. That's the audience they build with is in that game. So you're still going to have some streamers. It's just a matter of, keeping the interest of the player base.
Well, I'm not arguing that it's going to
find.
die, but I am saying it's not going to, stay as a very popular game for very long, in my opinion, from my experience. For example, so Ark Survival Evolved, for example, that's a game in a long, long chain of games, which is what I think is happening to the... I'm so tired right now. I'm sorry. To the to the Battle Royale genre. So Ark comes from a line of games that start from like DayZ, I'd say, probably, and go through the War Z and go through things like Rust and games like that, survival sandbox games.
Right.
And so Ark has had some staying power, but even that's been really, diminishing returns, in my opinion, then I don't understand what I'm trying to say.
Can I say something to that though? All right, so I think I think Ark's a really interesting case because Ark is shit, and it's the reason why it's shit is because they are not optimizing that. So I own the game, but I don't play it because I cannot play it at a graphical setting that I feel is not
you deem acceptable.
And and it's really annoying. And like at low, I get 50 frames per second, and I got a solid PC, so it's more upsetting that it doesn't work than the frame rate itself. And so that game's a little bit of an odd thing to bring up, but I do see what you're saying. So well, let's take it back. Like how's DayZ going right now? Because you just mentioned DayZ is kind of like Rust and The Long Dark. And
I haven't actually heard of anything DayZ related for a long time. So I think people have pretty much hopped off that bandwagon almost entirely now.
Well, he just kind of quit development on the solo or on the standalone game. So then people were obviously pretty miffed and kind of quit supporting the stuff he was putting out.
Yeah.
Wait, really?
He probably ran out of funding.
All right.
This is a while ago. There hasn't been any updates to the DayZ.
But like the reason I brought up Ark, Ark is because it falls into the same category of what I like to call them streamer games, because I think that these kinds of games most of the time they live and die off of the back of whether or not streamers are playing those games. That's my opinion of it.
Simulator.
And Goat Simulator is a streamer game. But the actual data on what?
Okay. Well, DayZ, for example, the second example you brought up had at a peak 45,000 people a day in 2013.
Mm-hmm.
These days it's about 7,000. Ark, funny enough, is not actually that way. 80,000, back in 2015, 60, 70,000 here and there today. So it's had a dip, but that was actually relatively recent. That actually started at the beginning of this year.
So I don't know why I brought up Ark. Definitely didn't help my argument. It is an odd case in my opinion.
Ignore Ark. We'll ignore Ark.
We're not going to ignore Ark.
I feel like it at least to me, there's too many extra things around it to be a complete equivalent.
All right. Well,
your mom's an equivalent.
It started its downturn on February.
Sticking with the
Rainbow Six Siege,
Battle Royale style games, I was able to find the game I was looking for. It was The Culling.
Oh, God.
I heard a lot about people going to PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds from H1Z1 because of the developer, right? I didn't hear shit about people going over to The Culling.
Well, I haven't even heard of this game, so that might just be a fail of marketing.
The Culling is kind of like Hunger Games style.
I think The Culling is one of those games that was rebranded multiple times because the developers fucked up.
Yeah.
Was that Gary's incident or whatever?
The day one Gary's incident, people? I have no idea.
Is that what The Culling is?
By the
I feel
way,
like I've heard that name.
For anyone interested,
I linked it in chat.
Rainbow Six Siege did also peak around January and has been dropped down half its player base, 20%. Sorry, I should say 30% of its player base left, and it's been stable and slightly declining in recent months. Battlegrounds is still climbing.
Would you look at the For Honor data?
Did that game fail? What happened to that game?
Yeah, I bought it though, and I still play it occasionally. It's really good, actually. It's like it's a fantastic concept. Like, it's fun to play. It's a piece of shit. Like, it's a whole bunch of things put in one big basket.
It just looked like there wasn't enough thing there to hold on to. Like, you got 3 or 4, like solid fights. Maybe you get good at it and then you start going up against people. But then I'm not I'm not a like heavy multiplayer type guy. Like I don't play the Call of Duty games. I play single player games. The only multiplayer I ever played was GTA Online. But that game is so far beyond anything that we're talking about right now. Like I can't even understand how Rockstar is continuing that thing.
For Honor peaked, by the way, for anyone interested, in February 13th-ish, and then right around the end of March is when they flattened out. They're nothing right now.
Nothing.
Like
45,000 at February. And right now, 2,000, 3,000.
That sounds about
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I'm sorry for anyone who bought into that game.
Okay, I'll say this. Game? I don't regret buying it. It was a lot of fun. And like,
yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
And I definitely feel like I got what I came for out of it. But like, all that said, it's still a giant disappointment.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead, guys. If you want my opinion, you should just never buy early access games. Like, you'll get burned more than...
Again, what game are we talking about?
I bought it.
Who thinks LT should become a professional writer?
LT?
What?
Hey.
No, I've not read any of it, right?
I'm talking about early access games. I don't think people should ever buy them.
I agree with that sentiment.
It was a specific game that
I think if
talking before was talking
I think you should buy early access if you like what you see now.
I disagree with that.
Because most early access games will never get out of early access. That's scientific.
Okay, but you're just slapping a label on a game that you're playing. Like, what?
So
like, okay, what if someone told you that chess was in early access? Like, fucking,
it's not.
There's still more to go. You know, it's like you could still play it. It would still function. It would provide you the level of pleasure that it was going to provide you.
Listen, the early access tag is basically a free pass for the developers to do whatever the fuck they want with the future of the game.
Yeah, but no one's holding a gun to your head and making you pay for it.
I know a perfect example.
But
I'm confused where this just took its turn.
It's an example of companies taking advantage of the consumers.
Yeah,
but I know that
no one's forcing you to buy it.
I'm confused with this. Here's the thing. So
it's an example of companies taking advantage of the consumers.
But I know that no one's forcing you to buy it.
I'm confused with this. Here's the thing. So
it's an example of companies taking advantage of the consumers.
But I know that no one's forcing you to buy it.
Here's the thing. So it's an example of companies taking advantage of the consumers. But I know that here's the thing. So it's an example of companies taking advantage of the consumers. But I know that here's the thing. So it's an example.
I know right now it's still overlooked that.
I just want to say that hypothetical, that particular hypothetical, would never happen situation where any invested in it wasn't completely monetary situation. Only developing most of the content is done before you invest in most of the cash the game, going in hell is that's an old topic too.
Yeah, but you know, I'm not surprised enough to come up with the topic. Here's a good way to describe that situation. The game is good, it's good release, good launch, everything is nice and awesome, but then like over time it's just a drip. This is when you start to think down the road. There's no problem. After the basic game, it's like there's no end game thing to do after that. You know, no base.
No. What was the game that fell recently? Like In the Sky or something? Oh my god. Base for about an hour and then it was all the same after that.
Yeah, what was the case? We saw that game. This is where the that game was there's a couple servers that basically can't play. There's no dedicated servers for the track, no way to get back on.
I wouldn't be surprised if anybody followed anything with No Man's Sky.
I didn't even play that game after they talked about how shitty it is.
That game was such a terrible thing.
But it looked amazing and it got amazing reviews. Copies, yeah. Like pre-release copies, not release.
I mean, I guess you can convert anything that looks like shit and maybe looks good, right?
The premise of the game was fucking like a next-gen graphics, non-block based Infinity Universe of Minecraft. Like fucking, who wouldn't want to play that? It was the most what I would ever preferred, but that's big bad jokes. Big bad jokes. What do you think? Hindsight bias.
Alright, well, I will say this. If you say so. Hold on. Based on the premise of what was being given to you, when you say that you look to everything he said, and the way he talks about the system, all the promises that he made, it's not that crazy of a thought for when he makes the statement. Yeah, you can like put your almost everything because of how they set up the game sounded like it was going to be this endless thing. You were never going to run out of time. You were never going to run out of time. It was all it was like
you know what happened? They got unlucky. They statistically got so unlucky. I wouldn't be surprised if God himself said, you know what? Screw you. Yeah. Because that was there was so much space between you and another person that was in our galaxy. Something like that.
Right. I know another example. I actually ordered that. I agree with you. I saw the game and I was like, yeah, that's some badass. You know, I like the old Call of Duty games, and I heard that it was from the original Call of Duty. So I was like, oh yeah, so but like after I played maybe 2 months, immediately I started noticing. Wow, they were gone. And then like all of a sudden I hear, oh yeah, with our new system, you're gonna get everything.
Yeah, so there was an interesting thing when they dropped that game, at least on PC. I don't know how much. I don't know. I didn't have console. Console gamer. When they dropped Topical down to like $10, and then you got all the extra stuff for at least on PC. It spiked up, and only one game was spiked up, and it held. Like I actually got the game when it was $10. It held on all the way up until and I enjoyed the game. I don't like Modern Warfare or any of the Call of Duty games. Yeah, that's not my type of game. But I jumped into this, and I was having fun. I was like, holy shit, this is awesome. It was a completely different game, in my opinion. And so it did spike up there for a little bit. It had a lot of shortcomings. I feel like they tried to jump on something, thinking that their gameplay could hold them.
I think the fact that this topic of gameplay was going to win over, say, a story or some sort of, because yes, giant robots do have guns and they have guns, and you start to see people are like, well, how much closer they could get. I mean, some people like to have, the type of thing,
You want to talk about Evolve?
Oh God.
Forgot about that.
Okay, I'll just. Oh my God. So they want to know how many price for the game. And they wanted it to be a competitive game. They wanted to take like full price for it. But then they added DLC monsters into the game. That's not competitive. They wanted it to be competitive.
The whole thing was really fucked up. And then when they made it free to play, like they gave it to everybody, they fucked over the people who had actually bought the game.
You weren't burned before, you got burned right after.
Yeah, it was like everyone was like, oh yeah, we're gonna come back and like get all these free versions, and then every single comment, every single review on Steam was just what the fuck. I am not getting anything. Like there was over your original.
There was an unofficial quote.
Right now, 250 of them are currently playing it.
There was an unofficial quote from one of the developers of Playroom. And when they were asked about, when they were asked about Evolve Stage 2, and they said, well, what do you think? Evolve Stage 2 has got to be Stage 2. That should have been number 1.
I gave their mom Stage 2. It was that 2K was kind of on a hot streak at the time. And they were like, man, we got a new game, new idea. But, honestly, we gotta check this up and make a deal because at the time, let's say 3, your business 3, all these other games coming out, they have let's say even 8, their games on in my opinion, Evolve would have been successful if they just sold monster skins like some other rather than actual monsters. It's stupidly strict player choice and competitive gaming. Hello? Are you lost? No, we all want to go in and say, But as a general stick, they'll give you something. Nah, I heard those guys in General 5 are pretty cool. What have been like? I heard you get Cuban cigars. Oh, I don't even know what language that is, dude. I heard it.
No, you can't speak to me. Got it.
Hola.
Yes.
Oh, dude, that's me.
You said does it have camera angle? No, I asked you. Oh, no, it has not.
Quiet La Boca.
thought they wanted another Banjo Kazooie.
Yeah, they just wanted Banjo Kazooie.
They should have, Banjo on everything along with Is that a male or a female? I believe how old are you? You can just click on a name and decide in user or just change the volume. Which one is it? Wait, is it Snuffle? No, it's not. Como está el ello? Jesus Christ, who is the person who's speaking? Porque can I be forwarded? The name is in English. I wonder if it's a troll. I think that's like a really young dude. I was kidding. Unless I think I am a fake meme. Yeah. What's that accent, dude? That was like a fucking Speedy Gonzalez accent. Don't even mention the word fake meme. You kind of got off track. This is boring. Okay. Well, I don't know. Well, stop being so triggered about it. My life is boring. My life is triggered. My life is video games. Pakistanis don't only play video games. Yes, they do. They play video games. They do. Well, maybe southern ethnic but us northern Pakistanis. Yes, Pakistanis don't only play video games. There we go. Does Pakistan have something like the Goblet Strip? Well, no, they're divided by the region known as the Kent Mountains. The northern Pakistanis are the more normal faction. So, alright, stop. The entire country falls in the region of faggotry. Do you want to divide Pakistan into trans-Alpine Pakistan versus cis-Alpine Pakistan, or is that what we're talking about? Too deep. So which one goes after the Pakistan? Oh, that's jihadi Pakistan. Yeah, that would be militant jihadi. Yeah, they're also known as Tyson. Tyson, dude. I'm learning fucking geography in the 4th grade, and I'm doing it again. You can't fucking make me, dude. I don't even fail that class once. Change, man. Your mom's Kurdistan. And I'm the EU. What would be the best I can imagine a few different things, maybe like a room full of war teams with Pakistanis. Okay. Nothing but madness, death, and a couple of things. Maybe I'm thinking like Dynasty Warriors. Oh, God. I would go for
like every character is a meme, or every meme is a character. I'm thinking like fucking Pepe gets that big fat katana.
Oh my god. If you ever see something like Baldur's Gate or something where, isometric adventures where you're picking up different characters and kind of just flat.
I just found the 35-year-old man.
There's nothing wrong with Baldur's Gate. I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with it. I'm just saying that there's 35 in the room.
Like a Far Cry game, we used to do that. And like, for instance, we used to have Flash Beta.
I don't think we're just like a plug of frogs. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, plug of frogs falling from the sky. Wait, hold on.
It's vaginal blood.
I don't think it could be a different effect.
It's like, you gotta look cooler, you gotta wear like a swimsuit.
We're talking about the official game of Pakistan. I still think it could be a different effect. Fallout and games. Nobody's autistic enough to actually do that. I still think there might be enough autism, but not enough organized autism.
Wait, a correlation between
Hold on, what's going on?
No, look at chat. I've been arguing with this guy, Leo Saras. I'm inherently a dick. That's why people are
So you just admitted he can still fail
Try. I can't speak right now.
Fucking gay.
Oh, checkmate, checkmate. Look at General 2, dude. Checkmate. Oh, checkmate, checkmate. Look at General 2, dude. Checkmate. Oh, checkmate, checkmate. Look at General 2, dude. Checkmate. Oh, checkmate, checkmate. Look at General 2, dude. Checkmate. Oh, checkmate, checkmate. Look at General 2, dude. Checkmate. Oh, checkmate, checkmate. Look at General 2, dude. Checkmate. Oh, checkmate, checkmate. Look at General 2, dude. Checkmate. Oh, checkmate, checkmate. Look at General 2, dude.
I don't want to be like, yeah, you win.
Wait,
okay. I know I win. I know I win because I'm a winner.
I just walk into some shit here. Oh, okay.
God bless America.
Sometimes, dude,